The story of a 20-year-old botanist and Dupin, and he never thought that he would go through so many trials and his life became more interesting. Before finishing his studies, Dupin finally found a lady, and he did not want to ruin the perfect relationship, and he wanted to impress his lady. Dupin was mentally preparing for an important event with a lady, but he realized it was all a setup, and he was wrong to trust the lady. But he was mistaken in his character. The lady was relaxing in a hotel with another guy, and she forgot about Dupin and didn't want to sort things out, and she didn't need the nerd and loser Pan. During his depression, Dupin learned that his keyboard was an artifact, and it had magical properties. And Dupin realized about the artifact at the wrong time. And how can Dupin endure? He will use a magical artifact for revenge, and he will never forget the mean act of his sweetheart, and she broke his heart. This world is filled with magical artifacts, and already having an artifact in hand, you can get any lady. And is Dupin ready to return to the world? The story begins with Dupin standing in the store, and so wants to buy rubber friends and play with them, and friends will replace his lady. Dupin is very nervous, and he has long decided to buy a rubber friend. But this is not an easy matter, and he doubts and his thoughts are clearly a mess. The saleswoman shouted and asked Dupin's brother if he could choose quickly, and he stood there for 20 minutes and couldn't choose a doll for himself. The seller thought Dupin was a pathetic botanist, and he didn't have a lady, and he bought rubber friends, and no lady in the world needed Dupin. Dupin left his last money at the cash register, and without rubber friends he will not go to his beloved lady. And Dupin always thinks about protecting his body. Dupin left the store and bought everything he needed, and nothing would stop him on the way to his goal. And the lady was lucky that she knew a macho man. Dupin is already 22 years old this year, and he is a techno nerd, and his hobby is playing online games, and Pen is an introvert and does not like a lot of noise. A month ago, on the recommendation of a friend, Dupin finally found a lady and ended his 22 years of single life, and he is so happy. Dupin waited, and after a month of relationship today, his lady agreed to play with him, and he had been waiting for this moment for so long, and everything is already perfect. Dupin came to the hotel, and his beloved promised to wait for him at the hotel, and he can't wait until they are alone, and he will carry out all his plans. Dupin is shaking and sweating from nerves, and he will play with a lady for the first time. And as a child, he did not believe that he would find a lady who would love the botanist Du. Dupin plucked up his courage and decided to open the door and not keep her waiting. And he is a gentleman and is ready to impress the lady in the game. And this is the goal of a macho man. Dupin abruptly entered the room and told his beloved that he had come and that today he was in the best shape and his thoughts were only about her and that they would play until the morning. But the hotel room is quiet, and Dupin remembers that his lady was supposed to wait for him there, and they discussed all the details in advance, and he got confused in the matter. Dupin looked under the bed, but his lady wasn't there. And how could she forget that today was a special day for them, and something was strange in their hotel? Dupin opened the closet and checked if his beloved was hiding from him, and she was intrigued. But there was no one in the closet, and where was his lady then? Dupin went into the bathroom, but it was also quiet there, and it seemed no one had entered the hotel room. But his beloved had not called him, or even warned him. Dupin realized this was strange, and where did his beloved go? And maybe she had important things to do and she forgot to warn him, and he had different options. But at that very second, Dupin noticed the lady's underwear, and he would not confuse his beloved's underwear with others, and she still came to the hotel room, and he was so glad. Dupin seems to be late, and there is no news from his beloved, but he is not discouraged and believes that there is an explanation for everything, and the lady will not deceive the guy anymore. Dupin realized that his beloved probably went out to buy something, and he just had to wait. And this was definitely a special day for him and his beloved. Dupin skillfully put the underwear in his pocket, and he will give the surprise to the lady later when she returns to the hotel, and Pen will remember the stories forever. Dupin lay on the bed, and he is in a great mood, and sings songs, and he has matured and is ready for serious changes in life and realized everything. But at that moment, Dupin heard the voice of a lady from the next room, and she said to someone that he was such a naughty boy and she wanted to punish him in the game. Dupin immediately stood up from his seat and realized that they were playing in full swing in that room, and he would not confuse the sounds of the game with anything else, and that someone was clearly having fun together. Dupin continues to hear the voice of the lady from the next room, and he noticed an important detail and paid attention, and he tensed up from their games. Dupin looks at the wall and wonders if that's his girlfriend's voice, and why can he hear her from the next room, and wonders what she's doing there. Dupin quickly left the room into the hotel corridor and must find out the truth, and maybe he was hallucinating and confused the voice of his beloved. But Dupin was convinced that this was not his hallucination, and the voice was still coming from the next room, and their game was starting to irritate him, and he was so tense. Dupin decided he had to calm his nerves, and maybe it wasn't his favorite girl in that room, and it wouldn't be good if he made a mistake, and why this tortures. Dupin has his ears to the door, and he needs to find out the information first and then take action. Otherwise, he will disturb strangers, and he is determined. The guy asked the lady if she was happy with their game, And he tried his best in the game and wanted to impress him, and he is a professional and a genius. The lady told her boyfriend that he was so vulgar and that she had to go, and Dupan didn't know where she had gone and could call at any moment, and that was dangerous. The guy is angry, and if his father wasn't interested in the Dupan program, he wouldn't have allowed his sweetheart to flirt with the idiot Dupan. The lady told her sweetheart that she wouldn't let Dupan touch her, and that she would leave him right away without any problems, taking Dupan's program and would be back. The lady got dressed and told her sweetheart that she was going, and asked him not to be bored and that he was the best, and Dupan was a loser and they would take away the innovative program. The lady opened the door and hoped Dupan had not yet arrived at the hotel, and she would be 100% ready when he wanted to play, and that was the goal. And at that very moment, the lady noticed Dupan standing in front of her, and he was angry and serious, and he heard everything and did not believe that his beloved was there. The lady is in complete shock. And why was Dupan standing behind the door? And this is not what he thought, and he knows that his darling will never deceive and she is kind. Dupan was irritated and asked his beloved and her lover what they were both doing there and let them answer the questions, otherwise he would hurt everyone there. The lady is afraid and asks Dupan what he wants to do, and she is not afraid of him, and let him learn an important lesson and not to disturb people in the hotel. Dupan quickly went towards his lady's lover, and he will not forgive the bastard and will make him suffer and let him remember who he messed with at the hotel. Dupan hit the scoundrel with all his might in the face. And what was he thinking when he decided to play with his beloved, and how much longer they wanted to hide the betrayal? Kyoyi's lover fell to the floor and lost consciousness from a powerful blow from his opponent. And Dupan caught his enemy off guard and immediately knocked him out. Kyoya asked Dupeng what he had done and quickly went towards her lover and asked her darling if he was okay. And Kyoya was worried. Kyoya asked her boyfriend if she should call an ambulance, and he didn't expect a blow from Dupeng. Otherwise, he would have defended himself from the blow, and he is much stronger. Dupeng looks at his beloved Chuya, and he hoped that he found kind and sincere love after 22 years. But how wrong he was. Dupeng asked Chiu-yi if she had been lying to him all this time and how she could do such a thing, and he made plans for the future with her. Kyoya told Dupeng that he was absolutely right, and that she had been cheating on him from the very beginning. So what if he was incapable of solving anything, and that Dupeng was a loser? Dupeng is desperate and screams with all her might and does not believe in Chiu-yi's betrayal, and she broke the heart of her naive boyfriend, and he did not expect a setup. Kyoya asked Dupeng if he didn't understand why she cheated and he was so poor and didn't add meat when he ate soup, and why she should live with him. Dupeng told Chuya that she would wait until his program became popular and then he would become rich. But it seems she was lying. Kyoya admits that Dupeng has talent, but he can't manage the program to its maximum potential, and their company needs Dupeng's program. Dupeng asked Chiu-yi and her lover if they had really planned it all from the beginning to get his program. And it was mean, and Peng was shocked. Kyoya told Dupeng that he is absolutely right in everything. And so what? And she does not feel sorry for the nerd, and Dupeng is a loser, and he does not need a special program. The guy asked the bastard Dupeng how he dared to hit the boss, and Chiuya told Dupeng that he injured the master and therefore had to give up the program. Dupeng started to leave the hotel room and told Chiu-yi and her boyfriend that he would never give them the program, and that the enemies could dream of the program. After this incident, Dupeng quickly came to the apartment and wants not to take any risks and will take the program with him so that their enemies will not find it anywhere. Dupeng is ready to run away, and Pan's innovative program will not disappoint people in the future, and will change the world, and he will always live in danger. Dupeng was leaving his apartment, and his enemies planted a lady in his place, and he didn't know that she was a spy and that she knew all the information about him, and he was mistaken. But at that very second, Dupeng noticed two strong guards, and they blocked his path and seemed to be ready for a fight, and he feels everything. Kyoya's lover brought strong guards, and he asked Dupeng if he really hoped to escape after hitting him. And this is absurd. And at that very moment, the guard hit Dupeng in the face with all his might, and no one has the right to contradict and argue with the boss, and Dupeng beat up the master. The guards continued to beat the scoundrel Dupeng, and he humiliated the boss, and for this he will be punished, and the boss will never forget those who contradicted him there. Dupeng fell on the keyboard and lost consciousness, and the guards were cruel and did not spare the techno nerd and taught him a lesson and avenged the boss. The guy hugged Chuya and told the botanist Dupeng that he would take the program and that it was in vain that he didn't personally give them the program, and Du forced him to use force. The guy left the hotel room and let Dupeng rest in peace, and he will get even richer in his place, and everyone will soon forget about Dupeng. Dupeng lies face down on the keyboard, and he had dreams, but his beloved betrayed him, and in the end, he was left with nothing, and the enemy stole his program. Dupeng is sorry that he trusted a vile lady who never loved him and always wanted to take away the program, and the enemies caught him off guard. Dupeng's blood got on the keyboard, and the techno nerd would have been alive and well if he hadn't gotten involved with the lady and would have continued playing games. And at that very second, the keyboard suddenly began to glow, and Dupeng's blood reacted. But Du didn't know about all the properties of the invention. Dupan found himself in another reality and heard a buzzing sound and still hadn't woken up and thought he would go to the next world to his ancestors after death. Dupan opened his eyes and began to come to his senses, and it seemed that the enemies had left and this place was quiet and nothing threatened him. And this was another territory. Dupan didn't understand where he was and whether he had died, and he remembers how the enemies seriously wounded him in the hotel, and he lost consciousness from the injuries. And this is true. Dupung was in complete shock and heard someone laughing, and he didn't understand anything and where Chuya and her lover were and what was going on and whether this was a hallucination. A creature appeared in front of Dupan and asked if he woke him up, and Dupan wants to know all the information and where he is, and Dupan is worried. Dupan thought the lady was huge, but she was small and there was no one else in this place, and it seemed she knew secrets and was ready to answer. Dupan asked the creature who she was, and he was confused where he was and had never been in this territory, and she was cute. And why was she sitting in the keyboard? The lady said to Duping, "Her name is Xiao Yu, and welcome, master. And he is in the super keyboard space, and Boss Peng has a lot of power there." Duping was amazed, and the owner asked Xiao Yu what kind of super keyboard space this was, and he didn't know about it, and why exactly Duping was there. Xiao Yu told Duping that the keyboard under his head is a magic keyboard, and it is a valuable artifact. And Boss Du is lucky, and he is lucky. Duping is perplexed, and was Xiao Yu speaking seriously, and the keyboard is a valuable artifact. But Duping always thought it was an ordinary thing. When Dupan moved, he decided to take the keyboard with him, and he plays games so much and can't leave the keyboard, and he needs it. Duping asked Xiao Yu again if she was really telling Master Du that this keyboard was an artifact and why he didn't know before, and he was shocked. Duping is absolutely right, and she is the spirit of the artifact, and her name is Xiao Yu, and he woke her up, and from now on, she will follow the boss and carry out the order. But Duping asks Xiao Yu to wait and not rush. And what powers does his keyboard have if it is an artifact? And asked Xiao Yu to explain all the data. Xiao Yu told Duping that of course the keyboard has magical powers, and when he activated the artifact, the boss can open the first skill. Dupan is surprised, and will he be able to use the first artifact chip? And this keyboard is an artifact, and each key has a power. The first skill that Dupan discovered was aggravation, and as soon as he pressed the key, his senses would increase tenfold in hearing and vision. Xiao Yu told the boss it would last 5 minutes and then the recharge would begin for 3 hours, and Duping doesn't believe it, and Peng is ready to experience the gift. Xiao Yu told boss Duping that if he has any questions, the owner can call her at any time, and together they will solve all the boss's problems. Dupan suddenly opened his eyes and he thought that he had already died and gone to heaven. But it seems that he is still in their familiar world and has gone through trials. Dupan came to his senses and he was lying on the floor facing the keyboard, and the enemy left the hotel room and took the guards who brazenly beat him. Dupan is amazed and did his injuries disappear, and he remembers how the enemy entered his room with fighters and they beat him mercilessly for many hours. Duping thought maybe it was a dream or a hallucination, and he didn't believe that there was a magic keyboard and Xiao Yu keeping the artifact. But when Duping didn't expect this, Xiao Yu came out from the keyboard and told Boss Peng that he could use the artifact skill now. Duping is in complete shock, and it wasn't a dream, and Xiao Yu exists. And why does he need such a gift? And he doesn't know how to use the artifact correctly, and that's a fact. Xiao Yu asked Boss Duping if he was listening to her words, and she said he should use the artifact skill and learn the abilities of the special artifact. Duping took the keyboard in his hands, and it is still hard to believe that this is a special artifact, and Xiao Yu answered many of the boss's important questions. Dupan saw a letter on the keyboard, and he was curious to know what would happen if he activated the artifact skill, or if it was an illusion, and Pan was delirious. Xiao Yu asks Boss Duping to press the skill launch button to activate it, and he will know the result, and she is sure it will amaze him. Duping pointed his finger at the keyboard button and activated the artifact skill, and Xiao Yu promised to be there and help the boss in any matter. Dupan felt himself become stronger and did not expect that the artifact could instantly give strength and power to a person and reveal many new secrets. Xiao Yu told Boss Du that in the next 5 minutes, her boss's feelings would be improved tenfold and Duping would be much better. Duping's eyes began to sparkle, and he had never felt like this before, and he was glad that it was Peng who found the artifact, and Xiao Yu's assistant explains. Dupan is wary, and the magical artifact has increased all his skills and given him a unique power for 5 minutes, and he will do good deeds. Dupan heard his neighbors playing from another floor, and his hearing became 10 times better, and he hears any details, and Dupan likes it. Dupan is in complete shock, and he hears the groans of 2 people playing from there, and they are tens of meters away from him. But this does not prevent him from hearing everything. Dupan realized he was lucky, and the artifact would help him achieve everything in life, and he had many plans, and he would realize them all, and he would begin to take revenge. Duping is delighted, and it's incredible, and the artifact amazes the mind, and he doesn't want to lose her, and he will succeed, and Xiao Yu is always by his side. Dupan is still getting used to the new skills from the artifact, and never in his life has he seen so clearly and heard distant sounds from the streets. Dupan spies on his neighbors, and his eyes and ears hear and see everything. And he knows what is going on in the neighbor's house, and it cannot be hidden from him. But at that moment, Dupan heard a loud sound, and all sounds reach the brain, and it is difficult for him to get used to such sensations, and it hurts him. Dupan's hearing has improved tenfold, but will his eardrums burst after loud noises? The boss is very interested to know everything. Xiaoyu told Boss Dupang that he doesn't need to worry about it, and there will definitely be no pressure or strain on his ears, and she guarantees. At that very moment, someone started knocking on the door nonstop and told stupid Dupan to open the door, and she knows he is at home and will not hide. Dupan opened the door and told the lady he was busy, but the landlady told the stupid Dupan it was time to pay the rent, and she was waiting for the money. Dupan begs the landlady to give him 2 more days, and he hasn't received his salary for the internship yet, but he will soon pay for the apartment. Dupan bowed and begged the landlady to listen to him and that he was not lying and would definitely pay the rent, and asked not to throw him out of the house. The landlady told the stupid Dupan that if he doesn't pay in 2 days, she will kick him out of the apartment, and he himself is to blame for her anger there. Dupang closed the door and sighed, and he gave all the money to the fool Chuya and can't even pay the rent, and why was he so stupid then? Dupan decided to first enjoy the view and then start thinking about how to find money and pay the rent. Otherwise, he would end up on the street. But this time, Dupan couldn't see anything and stopped hearing all the sounds from the neighboring apartments. And it's strange, and he didn't enjoy their game. Dupan continues to see everything blurry, and what happened, and why he lost all his skills, and what happened to the artifact, and Pan can no longer see his neighbors. Xiaoyu told Boss Du that 5 minutes had passed and the owner had to wait 3 hours to use this skill again, and that was all the conditions. Dupan sighed, and it seems this skill won't help him find money, and he doesn't know how to use the artifact skill correctly, and his brain is slowing down. But at that very second, Dupan smiled, and it was too early for him to despair, and everything was fine, and he needed to pull himself together and start solving all his problems. Dupan remembered that his program was stolen by that scoundrel, and he will use the skill to find out the weaknesses of his enemies and take revenge on the bastard for his vile act. Dupang said how the fool Chuya dared to deceive him, and he will take revenge and take back the program and will not spare any of his vile enemies. The next morning, Dupan came to the roof of the house and watches the other houses there. And in vain the enemies underestimated the weakling. But he remembered everything. Dupeng told Xiaoyu that scoundrel. Difeng lives there, and he has changed a lot over the past few days, and the artifact helped him realize a lot and comprehend. Xiaoyu asked Dupeng's boss what he was doing, and she was so worried about her master and would not allow him to be in danger, and this was important. Dupeng asks Xiaoyu to speak more quietly, and he is busy with important matters, and she should not worry, and everything is going according to plan, and he is ready for everything. Xiaoyu is outraged and told Master Dupeng that he just wants to take revenge on Difeng, and why is he deceiving his assistant and talking nonsense? Dupeng was completely shocked by the words of Xiaoyu's assistant and asked if she could read his thoughts and how she understood that he wanted to take revenge on Dai. Xiaoyu told Boss Dupeng that she can't read minds, and she only realized it when she was inside the keyboard and saw the boss being beaten. Dupeng told Xiaoyu that since she figured it out, she could have kept quiet, and that it was so important for the boss to take revenge, and Difeng stole his innovative program. Xiaoyu told Master Dupeng, if he wants revenge, she will help him if the boss wants, and she cares about Dupeng's goals and he is her boss. Xiaoyu told Master Dupeng that if he unlocks all the skills of the special artifact, he will become incredibly strong and no one will be able to compare to the head. Xiaoyu told the boss such trivial questions as revenge for her is like eating a pie, and Peng wants to know how to unlock artifact skills. Xiaoyu told Boss Dupeng that he must complete missions and he will receive points after missions and unlock all artifact skills. Dupeng asked Xiaoyu about the artifact glasses, and he doesn't know anything about the glasses, and Xiaoyu's assistant can give useful advice, and she is a genius. Xiaoyu said artifact points are like money in Dupeng's normal world, which her boss can use for trading and other purposes. The easiest way to earn artifact points is to complete all the missions that Dupan receives from the artifact, and he is capable of everything. Dupan is interested in what mission he has, and he is obliged to start completing them, and then he will receive artifact points and will already unlock all the skills. In the neighboring house, someone hung wet laundry on the balcony, and Dupan doesn't understand why the stranger's laundry attracted his attention there. And at that very moment, the stranger's underwear was blown away by the wind, and Dupan thinks it's all in his imagination, and he always pays attention to such things everywhere. Xiaoyu said about the daily mission, and Boss Dupeng is obliged to catch the underwear that was blown away by the wind and will receive artifact points for it. Dupeng saw a stranger's underwear in front of him, and Xiaoyu believes in the boss, and soon he will unlock all the skills of the artifact and become the strongest. Du Peng was furious and asked Xiao Yu's assistant what this mission was and how the boss would become incredibly strong by chasing after a stranger's underwear. Xiao Yu told Du Peng that he must hurry, and the daily task is limited in time, and Boss Du must cling to any task. Du Pan has resigned himself and has no choice but to complete the missions. And why does the artifact give strange tasks and brazenly set up the boss? Du Pen ran up the stairs and found the laundry before it disappeared, and the artifact was testing his patience, and he was not satisfied with such missions. Du Peng noticed the underwear on the tree, and he will take it and complete the task and quickly get special artifact points and hopes Xiao Yu did not lie. Du Peng does this only to complete the mission, and he is a kind and unselfish person and let Xiao Yu not think that her boss is a pervert. Du Pen went to the apartment of a stranger who lost her underwear, and he will return it to her, and he is ashamed to admit that he is busy with stupid missions. Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant that he only needed to return the underwear and asked her to tell the truth so that he could earn artifact points. Xiao Yu agrees with Du Peng, and all he needs to do is visit the lingerie back, and he will successfully complete the mission, and he quickly completed the task. Du Pen hung up the stranger's laundry and wanted to leave quickly while no one was looking at him, and the master would never touch someone else's laundry. But at that very moment, the stranger came out of the bathroom and she had lunch and already wants to take her underwear. And today, nothing will spoil her mood for sure. At that very moment, the lady noticed a stranger holding her underwear in his hands, and Du Pen froze in place and immediately lost the power of speech. The lady is angry and told the panty thief to get ready to die, and that he was wrong to come to her house, and she will cruelly punish the scoundrel and teach him a lesson. The lady started hitting Du Pen, and the master realized it was time to activate the mode to get out of there before the lady wounded him, and she got it all wrong there. Du Peng hid from the lady on the roof and asked Xiao Yu's assistant whether this mission was worth the suffering and shame he had endured. Assistant Xiao Yu told Master Du Peng that of course the mission was worth all the boss's efforts, and he lived up to all expectations, and he is a professional. Du Pan received 2 points, and does this mean that Du Pan needs to complete 14 more daily missions to unlock a new skill? Assistant Xiao Yu told Master Du Peng that not every mission gives 2 points, and the number of points depends on the difficulty of their special missions. Du Pen glanced to the side and noticed an important detail, and it was not in vain that he came to this place, and he has a clear goal, but he almost forgot about the mission. Du Peng noticed Di Feng in one of the apartments, and he will not forget the vile deeds of the enemy, and he has no conscience and is ready to take the lives of others. Du Peng is happy. And finally, he saw Di Feng and will get evidence and prove that he committed a crime, and the enemies must be punished soon. Du Pen pressed the keyboard button and activated the artifact skill, and must find out the enemy's plans and catch them off guard and be ready. Du Peng began to hear from a long distance and controls everything in the territory, and Di Feng will not hide, and Peng will remind of past sins. And at that moment, when Du Peng didn't expect it at all, he heard someone ask Di Feng if he really wanted to kill the lady soon. Du Pan didn't understand where this voice was coming from, and someone was preparing a plan and clearly wanted to destroy someone, and he would figure out the situation and save people. Du Pan saw a man drinking wine outside the window, and it was definitely not his voice, and he was too in love with himself and would not harm other people. Du Pen noticed a lady who was looking for a thief who wanted to steal her panties, and it wasn't her voice, and she was angry only at him because of the mission. Du Pen, thinking, realized the voice was coming from there, and that there was an enemy in that apartment and someone wanted to take the life or injure another, and he didn't like it. Du Pen is interested in finding out the villain's plans, and he listened to that very apartment, and someone is in danger and he will not leave her in trouble. There are 2 guys in that apartment. One of them is sitting and drinking, and the other is walking around and talking about future plans and wants to tell you about a special plan. The guy told his colleague Liao Yubi that Liao Shang's daughter is the heir of the Liao Shang faction, and that killing her could cause them obvious problems. Du Peng knows. The Liu Shan faction is one of the richest factions in their city, and these 2 hooligans clearly have evil plans and enemies are infuriating. The guy is drinking wine, and Du Peng made a guess and said, "Do the hooligans really want to kill the heiress of the Liao Shang faction? And who are these people and are they so dangerous?" The guy asks his brother not to be nervous, and the city will be under the control of their Red Crow faction, and then the Liao Shan faction will become nothing. The bully told his colleague that he heard Liao Yubi had a guard, and they shouldn't underestimate them, and they could fight back, and they needed to come up with a plan. The guy took the briefcase and doesn't want his colleague to worry. And he worries so often, and he asks his colleague to always believe in his ambitions. The guy threw the briefcase to his colleague, and he gives his friend this special thing, and with its help, he will kill Liao Yubi no matter who is protecting her. The bully took the briefcase and doesn't know what the boss gave him, and he wants to make his job easier, and appreciates the colleague's concern, and he is ready to help in any situation. The hooligan opened the briefcase and froze in shock, not realizing that the boss had decided in advance to take something useful for the mission into the house. The hooligan saw a gun in the briefcase, and the boss is serious, and he really wants to get rid of Liao Yubi and is ready to do anything in the matter. The boss asked his colleague if he didn't like the gift or if his friend didn't know how to shoot, and he could teach him how to shoot and give his friend some advice. But the bully told Brother Sita that everything is fine, and he is in anticipation and wants to complete the task and get the reward as soon as possible. And this is motivation. Shita told his colleague that Liao Yubi was holding a birthday party tonight and his brother had to sneak in and kill Yubi. Shita is serious about Liao Sheng. She must be careful, and he will make sure that his daughter Liao Yubi dies first today. Du Peng, hearing about the stranger's plans, became confused and remembered the assassins who had dangerous weapons and the enemies who were going to Liao Yubi's birthday party. One day later, Du Peng came to the Liao Shan faction's mansion, and he had never been to a grand celebration and he didn't know how to behave. Du Peng is in complete shock. And as expected from the Liao Shan faction, they are incredibly rich, and that is why many of the city's residents respect them so much. But Du Peng doesn't know how to get into the Liao Shang faction's mansion, and he didn't think about it, and he doesn't have a pass, and he's not a friend and brother of the Liao family. Xiao Yu's assistant asked Master Du Peng if he wanted to steal Liao Yubi's underwear too. And at this rate, Master Du would become a panty thief. Du Peng is angry at the words of Xiao Yu's assistant, and he does not want to steal Liao Yubi's underwear. And he is not a pervert, and the artifact is to blame for everything, and he is right. Xiao Yu's assistant asked Master Du Peng why he came to the Liao Shang faction's mansion, and why he didn't have a mission in Liao territory. Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant that he came to the Liao Shan faction's mansion to rescue the heiress of the Liao Yu faction, B, and that this was an important matter. Assistant Xiao Yu called Master Du Peng and wants to say something, and the boss will find out her opinion about her boss, and she needs to know and not argue. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that he looks like an idiot, and the boss asks Xiao Yu to shut up and that he knows what he's doing and to put up with it. Du Peng still needs to come up with a plan to get into the Liao Shang faction's mansion. And then the master had an idea, and he will already get into the mansion. Du Peng wants to climb over the wall of the Liao Shan faction's mansion, and their family needs to set up a reliable defense to prevent him from entering their home. Du Peng landed safely and no one will interfere with his task, and he decided to help Liao Yubi. And this is his personal mission, and he will save the lady. Du Peng started to get nervous and he noticed someone in front of him and never thought that he would run into this animal, and he needed to take care of his health. Du Peng saw a dog in front of him, and the animal looked into the master's eyes and did not move from the spot, and waited for the moment. But Du Peng was not afraid of anyone. Du Peng told the dog that she was good, and he wanted to pet her and hug her, and he was worried for nothing. And what threat could a small dog pose, and she was so kind? But at that very second, the dog started chasing Du Peng, and he is afraid of animals and asked the dog to spare him and not bite him. And he wanted to make friends with the dog. Du Peng quickly went into the kitchen and hid from the dog there, but the animal did not abandon the master and continued to chase him. And the boss came up with a plan. Du Peng told the dog that he had some interesting food for him and threw a bone in her direction, and the dog was delighted and gnawed on the bone and forgot about Master Du. Du Peng turned around and noticed something that would definitely help him remain unnoticed, and no one would throw him out of the restaurant, and he was sure of everything. Du Peng saw the cook's clothes and he got rid of the threat and is already ready to take on the mission, and he will not abandon Liao Yubi in trouble and will save her from the enemy. Du Peng walked out into the hall, and the restaurant had an incredible atmosphere. The master had never been to such celebrations and understood how rich people live. Du Peng saw the delicacies on the table and it was amazing. And people arranged a grand celebration in honor of Liao Yubi's birthday, and it was a sensation. And then someone started to rush Du Peng and said that soon dear guests would arrive at the restaurant and everything should be ready by the time of their visit. And at that very moment, Du Peng noticed a beautiful lady, and she was like an angel, and it seemed like she was the main star of the holiday, and all the people respected her. Du Peng realized that this lady was Liao Yubi, and how beautiful she was, and he couldn't take his eyes off her, and why the villains wanted to harm the lady. Liao Yubi turned around and realized that someone was looking at her for so long, and she wanted to discuss something with that person, and you had to tell him personally. Liao Yubi realized that the cook who was carrying the dishes into the hall was looking at her, and he stood behind her for many minutes and thought that she did not notice how he was looking. And then Liao Yubi waved her hand and asked her brother to come to her. But Du Peng was in complete shock, and he wanted to remain hidden, but everything was under threat. Du Peng wondered if he had been noticed so quickly, and could tell Liao Yubi that there were people who wanted to kill her, but they would throw him out. Liao Yubi asks his brother to help the lady and bring bottles of wine from the cellar. And today is a special occasion, and they are allowed to celebrate all night. Du Peng was surprised and asked Liao Yubi if she was really asking him to bring wine, and why she asked him in particular and he was not special. Liao Yubi is angry at Du Peng and asks her not to hesitate and go get some wine, and that guests will arrive soon and everything should be perfect. But the cook is making her so angry. Du Peng ran to the cellar for wine. And Liao Yubi was lost in thought and couldn't understand why this cook was acting like an idiot, and maybe he was sick. Du Peng realized that, although Liao Yubi asked him to go to the cellar, he doesn't know where the cellar is and how he will find this place in a difficult situation. And at that moment, Du Peng noticed the door leading to the basement, and it seems he was lucky this time and he didn't have to look for long for the place where Liao sent him. Du Peng opened the door and thought maybe it was a cellar, and he had to check the area immediately. Otherwise, Liao Yubi would punish him for the long search. Du Peng went down to the basement and he will check this place before anyone notices him, and in vain he caught the eye of Lady Liao Yubi, and it is his mistake. But after a couple of minutes, Du Peng came out of the basement, and he was so surprised and did not expect that the basement would lead him to this place, and what the punishment was for her. Du Peng won't understand where the cellar is and why this path led him to the park, and he has a bad feeling and his intuition told him he won't find the place. Xiao Yu's assistant asked Du Peng if the master was an idiot, and obviously kept the cellar in the basement of the house, and why the boss was looking for a cellar in the courtyard of the cafe. Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant that he didn't think about it then, and that he probably found a secret entrance and that Master Du is capable of making special discoveries. Xiao Yu's assistant told Boss Du Peng that he seems to be absolutely right, but the basement looks like it was recently dug and she doesn't like the situation. Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant that it was so difficult to understand the thoughts of the rich, and they could enter through the door, so it was unclear to them why they needed to dig tunnels. Du Peng came back out into the restaurant courtyard, and he spent a long time looking for the cellar and hoped Lady Liao Yubi would understand his situation and not scold him. Du Peng said people could have not hidden the entrance like that. And if he had known about this entrance, he would not have climbed over the wall, and it's a pity he found it recently. But at that very second, Du Peng realized a lot and froze in place from shock and how naive he was. And the entrance to the basement could mean something else, and he knows. Du Peng thought about it, and maybe another person dug this entrance on purpose and wants to enter the restaurant unnoticed. And it's not just like that, and he's sure. Du Peng is horrified, and could this entrance be dug by Sita, and a dangerous colleague who wanted to kill Liao Yubi, and everything is possible, and it's terrifying. Du Peng doesn't know, but he has to tell Lady Liao Yubi about this, and won't let his enemies get lost in the crowd at the birthday party, and they are dangerous. Lady Liao Yubi saw brother Du Peng and asked what he was doing there, and didn't she ask her brother to bring wine from the cellar, and he didn't understand. Du Peng is very nervous, and told Lady Liao Yubi that she is absolutely right, but he did not understand how to explain to Lady Yu that she is in a dangerous situation. Du Peng thought that if he told Liao Yubi the truth, she would treat him like an idiot, and thought that first, he needed to find the killer, and that was important. Lady Liao Yubi sighed and said to brother Du Peng that he was probably the new chef, and didn't know where the cellar was in the restaurant, and she didn't want to scold her brother. Du Peng told Lady Liao Yubi that she is right, and he is a new chef and does not know where the cellar is in the restaurant. And thanks to Lady Liao for understanding his situation. Lady Liao Yubi is despondent, and the chef has relaxed and hasn't even shown the cooks where the basics are, and she will correct the chef's shortcomings and mistakes. Lady Liu Yubi told brother Du Peng it doesn't matter, and asks him to follow her, and they will discuss all the details and she will teach him how to quickly find everything. Du Peng is walking behind Lady Liao Yubi, and he is lucky that he knows an incredible lady. And it is not for nothing that everyone considers her an angel, and the boss is in love. Du Peng realized that Lady Liao Yubi's figure was so beautiful, and he could not let her die, and would save her from the villains, and this was the boss's goal. Lady Liao Yubi told brother Du Peng there is a cellar and asked him to go down quickly, as guests will arrive soon. But the tables are not full, and this is brother's problem. Du Peng began to go down to the cellar, and he will quickly bring Lady Liao Yubi some wine, and she should not stand there, and he will get the wine and will not forget it. Du Peng doesn't know if the basement was dug by two enemies and they got into the restaurant through it to steal Liao Yubi, and the boss won't calm down. But Du Peng realized that if the enemy had a gun in his hands, he definitely wouldn't be able to stop them. And Liao Yubi was in danger, and it was a shame he didn't come there earlier. Du Peng wants to use the artifact skill, and if he activates the artifact skill, his feelings will increase tenfold. But it is difficult to help Liao Yu. And then Du Peng noticed someone walking towards him, and his intuition told him to be careful, and that no one could be trusted, and that the enemies were already there. And at that moment, Du Peng came face to face with the evil enemy from that apartment, and he dressed up as a chef and looked angrily at Du Peng. Du Peng smiled politely in the enemy's face, and the master continued walking up the stairs and hoped everything would be fine and they would not disturb them. The enemy turned towards Du Peng, and this stranger is in the way, and the cook is unlucky, and in vain he climbed into the cellar, and they do not need witnesses in the case. The enemy wanted to quietly get the pistol, but he was not careful, and it clicked, and the sound of the bolt was heard in the cellar, and the enemy screwed up his plan. The enemy realized he had made a serious mistake, and the cook heard him trying to get his weapon, and he should not interfere, otherwise he would kill him immediately. Du Peng froze in place from shock. And what was that sound? And it looked like the cook dropped something, and he would check what the stranger was doing, and this was so important. The bandit told Dupen he was the new chef and asked where the main hall was, and he was ordered to bring out the main dish and he would not find the main hall there. Dupen is in complete shock, and this is the voice of the killer and he will not confuse it with anyone. And the bandit got to the restaurant and it was not for nothing that he was on guard and ready to give battle. The bandit asks Dupen to answer him and he asks why he is silent. And maybe he suspects him of something and let him answer everything. Dupen told the bandit that he was also a newbie, and that he should find the main hall himself and that they were on equal terms, and that Dupen had never been to the main hall. Dupeng realized he was 100% right, and this man was a murderer and he heard about their plan in the apartment and would not let anyone harm Lady Liao Yu be there. Dupen realized and the bandit entered through the secret entrance and he was right in all the options and now we need to quickly come up with a plan and kill the bastard. And then a system appeared in front of Dupen, and it seems she wants to tell him important information, and the artifact cares about Master Pan. The artifact gave Master Dupeng a hidden mission, and he is obliged to save Lady Liao Yubi from assassination, and the assassins intend to harm the lady. Assistant Xiao Yu didn't expect that Master Dupeng would receive a hidden mission so early, and that the artifact had a lot of data, and that Master would find out about it. Dupeng asked Xiao Yu's assistant how a hidden mission differs from a daily mission, and Xiao Yu said all daily missions are limited. But Xiao Yu said hidden missions are unlimited, and receiving such a mission requires a trigger that will launch it, and the reward for it is greater. Dupeng learned. And the hidden mission was obtained when he thought about saving Liao Yubi, and he took the initiative and got the prize. Dupeng is confident, and even if there was no hidden mission, he would still not hesitate to save Lady Liao Yubi, and the artifact is connected to thoughts. Dupeng came out of the cellar and told Lady Liao Yubi that he brought wine. And it was not his fault that he was delayed and that he was disturbed, but he tried to bring wine. Lady Liao Yubi asked Brother Dupeng to leave the wine there, and she thought he had left and wanted to go to the cellar herself. But Brother Du returned on time. Dupeng finally left wine on the table and he spent a lot of time to find the wine and walked around the entire restaurant, and this is not cool. Dupeng is worried, and he cannot stand by and watch the beauty Liao Yubi be killed, and he will take action and eliminate the enemies. The bandit thought he had been identified and his true nature had already been discovered, but fortunately this chef was also a newbie, and he walked around the restaurant like an idiot. The bandit decided not to wait until night or kill Liao Yubi now, and he will scout out the situation and he will destroy the lady without eyewitnesses, and this is a chance. But at that very moment, the bandit suddenly froze in place, and he did not think that there would be an obvious problem on the mission, and he had to get rid of all the troubles there. Someone started walking towards Dupeng, and he is not familiar with the gentleman, and why does he quickly approach him and is serious, and he is strong. The stranger asked Dupeng who he was, and that he had never seen him before, and told him to explain the situation, otherwise he would get into trouble. Dupeng is surprised by the stranger's question, and he is not ready to answer, and his plan is on the verge of collapse, and he can run away from the restaurant, and this is an option. Lady Liao Yubi asks Dongfeng to calm down, and Brother Dupeng is the new cook, and there is no need to conflict with him, and her brother has helped her there many times. Dongfeng told Liao Yubi that if this man is the new chef, he will not fight with him, and the lady is not in any danger, and he learned important information. Dongfeng told Liao Yubi that all the invitation letters had been sent, and he was waiting for other instructions from her, and he would complete all the missions in a couple of minutes. Lady Liao Yubi asks Dongfeng to help bring more wine, and today, they are celebrating her birthday and she wants to remember it forever. And then Liao Yubi asks his brother Dupeng to go there and help them bring more wine from the cellar, and Dupeng doesn't understand at all why he is doing this again. Dupeng agrees with Lady Liao Yubi's request, and the cook will go to the cellar and bring what she needs, and it looks like he will be carrying wine in this mission. Dongfeng told Dupeng that he would go with him, and together they would take the wine out of the cellar, and his brother knew the way, and Lady Liao Yubi's request was the law. The bandit studied the data on Li Dongfeng, and he is the guard of Lady Liao Yubi and a boxing champion, and it was not for nothing that his colleague asked him to be careful there. The bandit understood that Li Dongfeng was Lady Liao Yubi's bodyguard, and his friend had warned him for a reason. Knowing that the bodyguard was a world boxing champion, the bandit started going after Li Dongfeng and Dupeng, and it looks like he should first eliminate the world boxing champion and then Lady Liao Yubi. Dupeng hasn't decided whether he should tell guard Li Dongfeng about the killer, and he sincerely doesn't want the sweet Lady Liao Yubi to suffer. Dupeng remembered that the killer was also in the cellar, and if they both saw the killer, he was obliged to reveal the enemy, and the guard would defeat the bandit in battle. But at that very moment, security guard Li Dongfeng stopped and ordered Peng to quickly say who he was or find out the information by another method. Dupeng realized that he had been exposed and what the boss should do, and could tell Li Dongfeng the whole truth and he would take action and eliminate the bandit in the hall. But Dupeng did not have time to answer the question of the guard Li Dongfeng, and immediately someone told Li to stand still and not move and threatened Li Dong. Guard Li Dongfeng did not move from his place, and the enemy caught him off guard, and he did not notice how someone approached him and clearly forgot to guard the rear. There is a bandit standing behind Li Dongfeng's guard and holding a gun to Li's head, and the guard is trapped. And how will he get out of the situation? The bandit continues to threaten the guard Li Dongfeng and will not let go or lower the weapon until Li fulfills all the conditions and he dictates everything. Security guard Li Dongfeng asked the scoundrel who he was and why he was threatening, and he wanted to understand the bandit's plans and what he had done wrong, which was still unclear. The bandit told the guard Li Dongfeng that he doesn't need to know everything, and that he asked a lot of questions but won't get answers, and the hero is doomed there. The bandit hit the guard on the back of the head, and Li Dongfeng lost consciousness, and did not expect that the enemy was hiding in the corner and waiting for the right moment to attack. Guard Li Dongfeng fell to the floor and lost consciousness. And the enemy is so happy and everything is going according to plan, and no one will stop him from taking Liao Yubi's life there. The bandit told the newcomer Du Pen that he had seen too much and was obliged to die for it, and that he had been in the way in vain and had prevented him from doing his job. Du Peng is in trouble, and if he doesn't take action and come up with a plan, the enemy will kill him along with Liao Yubi, and, while hiding, he will end up face-to-face with the enemy. Now Du Peng can only rely on the artifact skill, and Xiao Yu is obliged to help him, and he wants to use the artifact skill as soon as possible. Du Peng began to glow, and Xiao Yu fulfilled the master's request, and the boss received power from the artifact and is able to repel the enemy and save everyone. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that the artifact's ability had been activated and that he had nothing to worry about and would teach the enemy a lesson for his sins. Du Peng has increased his skills tenfold, and the artifact is at hand. And at any dangerous moment he can call Xiao Yu to help the boss. The enemy is satisfied, and he will remove unnecessary people, and no one will stop him from getting rid of Liao Yubi, and she interferes with the plans of the leader and makes him nervous. The enemy swung, and Du Pen thought it was too slow, and his reaction was developed to the maximum, and the artifact filled his body with energy. Du Pen will be able to dodge the opponent's attack, and his eyes see every step of the enemy, and he knows how he strikes, and it is not difficult to guess the attacks. Du Pen easily dodged his opponent's blow and let the enemy hit him, and he promised to take his life. But with the artifact, he is stronger than the enemy. The enemy was in complete shock, and he delivered a powerful blow. But Du Pen seemed not to be nervous and knew in advance how he would attack and thus struck the enemy. The enemy does not believe that Du Pen dodged the blow, and he is a clever cook, and one should not underestimate such fighters, and they can punish for weakness. Du Pen threw a plate of fruit at his opponent and wants to distract his attention and come up with a plan on the fly, and he will definitely punish the enemy. The enemy removed the fruits from his face and what the newbie chef was up to, and he fights like a professional, and few were able to fight back. Du Pen activated the time to get out mode and ran away from the restaurant, not wanting to risk his life, and the enemy is furious, and how Du Pen managed to escape. Du Peng realized that the killer was already in the restaurant and that he had used the power of the artifact, and that he urgently needed to tell Liao Yubi about the killer and save her life. Lo Yubi told Brother Du Peng that he brought the wine so quickly and where her guard Li Dongfeng was, and she remembers how the two of them went to the cellar. The enemy took aim at Lady Liao Yubi, and he will kill her. And now the lady has nowhere to run, and he lured her to a convenient place, and no one will save Lady Liao. Du Peng yells at Lady Liao Yubi and asks her to be careful and that it is not safe there, and the killer has come for her and wants to destroy the lady as soon as possible. Lady Liao Yubi was very surprised by the words of Brother Du Peng and why the enemy came for her. And she did not harm anyone, and the lady has no enemies. Du Peng hopes he will have time to save Lady Liao Yubi. But at that very moment there was a roar, and the enemy fired at Lady Liao and seemed to hit the target. Du Peng covered Lady Liao Yubi with himself and will not allow the enemy to harm the lady, and he is used to this lady. And something connects them and feels everything. The bullet hit the wine, and Du Peng miraculously managed to protect Lady Liao Yubi and would not forgive himself if she was injured, and he was her protector. The enemy is still targeting Lady Liao Yubi, and she is the main target. And the newcomer Du Peng is interfering with everything, and why does he protect an unfamiliar lady everywhere? People are fleeing the restaurant in panic, but Du Peng won't leave without Lady Liao Yubi, and he will protect her in any situation, and Du's artifact will give her strength for the fight. Du Peng continues to cover Lady Liao Yubi, and the restaurant is not safe, and it is better for her not to leave the shelter while there is an enemy there. Lady Liao Yubi is crying, and why the enemies are hunting her and what they want from the heir of the Liao Shang faction, and the enemy has taken drastic measures. Du Peng asked Lady Liao Yubi if she was okay, and it was important for him to know about the lady's condition, and he would provide assistance if she had any injuries from bullets. Lady Liao Yubi told Du Peng. She is fine, and this cook saved her from bullets and risked his life, but she does not remember that they know Du Peng. Du Peng wondered what he should do, and he needed to buy time until he restored the artifact skill. But the enemy did not stop shooting. And at that moment, Dupin noticed a cake next to him and realized that he was not in a hopeless situation and that there was always a way to defeat enemies. Dupin decided that the cake would help him distract the enemy, and during the battle it doesn't matter what's at hand. The main thing is to distract the enemy and accumulate energy. The enemy kicked the table and ordered the coward Dupin to come out and stop hiding everywhere, and he would still catch him and then torture him for so long. But when the enemy did not expect this, Dupin came out from under the table and he told the enemy that it was a surprise and let the bastard appreciate his surprise for himself. Dupin threw the cake right in his opponent's face and asked him to eat the cake and he would like it. And they ordered a special cake for Lady Liao Yubi. The enemy sees nothing and starts shooting in different directions, hoping to accidentally hit the scoundrel newbie Dupin or Lady Liao Yubi with a bullet. The enemy wiped his face from the cake and the mean kids caught him off guard and he didn't think that they had a surprise for him and the cake hit him right in the face. The enemy looked around and saw where Dupin and Lady Liao Yubi had gone, and he had failed the mission and missed the target, and it seemed he would not catch up with Lady Liao Yu. The enemy realized the restaurant was empty and decided to give up. He had to leave, and soon the guards would come, and he definitely didn't need any problems. The enemy quickly ran out of the restaurant and he will hide in the shadows and wait until Lady Liao Yubi appears, and he will complete the task and kill Lady Yu. Dupin exhaled, and the restaurant was so dangerous and he and Lady Liao Yubi risked their lives but were able to stop the dangerous enemy for a while. Lady Liao Yubi asked Dupin if he was in pain and asked him to take a handkerchief, and he sweated and saved her many times and was on the verge of death there. Dupin thanked Lady Liao Yubi and wiped his face from sweat. And the enemy will not abandon the idea of killing Lady Liao Yubi, and they must be on guard. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Dupin that he was not a cook and asked her brother who he was, and that she was interested in knowing her friend's true profession. Dupin is very worried and wonders if he has been exposed and he wants to leave quickly. But he won't be able to because Lady Liao Yubi is standing nearby and she won't leave. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Dupin that since he saved her, she understood that he was not a bad person and let him tell the truth and she would not punish her brother. Dupin agrees with Lady Liao Yubi and will tell the whole truth, and yesterday he accidentally overheard people discussing the murder of Lady Yu in the apartment. Dupin told Lady Liao Yubi all the information there except the power of the artifact, and Du wants to become a reliable protector for Lady Liao Yu. Lady Liao Yubi is clear and she asked Brother Dupin, which means he already knows what the enemies look like and it will be easier for them to catch the enemies with Brother. But Dupin told Lady Liao Yubi that he doesn't know the appearance of the enemies and he only heard the conversation and recognized the killer by his voice and has already taken action. Lady Liao Yubi thanked Brother Dupin for everything and remembered one person and asked Brother Peng where her guard Li Dongfeng was. Dupin told Lady Liao Yubi that she seemed to be talking about her guard and he was acting pompous. But the enemy knocked out Li Dong with one blow. Dupin brought Lady Liao Yubi to guard Li Dongfeng, but he was still lying on the floor unconscious and had not woken up from the injuries from the enemy attack. Lady Liao Yubi started to wake up the guard Li Dongfeng and she asked if Dong was okay and she would call an ambulance if he had serious injuries. Guard Li Dongfeng's neck hurts a lot, and the enemy is well trained and he knew exactly where to hit to make the man lose consciousness. And at that moment, the guard Li Dongfeng noticed Lady Liao Yubi in front of him and his main task was to guard and protect her. But he dozed there. Guard Li Dongfeng is very worried and asked Lady Liao Yubi if she is okay and if someone wants to kill her and he will not allow her to be harmed. Lady Liao Yubi told guard Li Dongfeng that the killer had already escaped and Brother Duping saved her, and without him she would not have survived. And thanks to Brother Du, security guard Li Dongfeng asked his colleagues if the enemy had managed to escape, how much time had passed, and if there was a chance to catch up and punish the bastard. Dupeng told the guard Li Dongfeng that the enemy left the restaurant about 3 minutes ago and they did not go after him, and he was only thinking about Lady Liao. Guard Li Dongfeng is serious and told his friends that he will go and catch the vile enemy and teach him a lesson and make the enemy suffer. Lady Liao Yubi asks guard Li Dongfeng to wait, and why he didn't ask his friend Dupeng who fought the enemy recently for advice. Duping told Lady Liao Yubi that she has a restless guard, and why is he in such a hurry and missing important details to catch a cunning enemy? Lady Liao Yubi said, her guard Li Dongfeng is an idiot, and he doesn't even have information about the killer and where he went without knowing important facts. Lady Liao Yubi thanked Brother Dupeng for everything, and asked her friend not to leave and to stay and rest while she discussed their incident with her father. Lady Liao Yubi stepped aside and Dupeng realized that the enemies had ruined her birthday and they had no conscience, and the boss was obliged to teach them manners. And at that very moment, the artifact wants to notify Master Dupin about something, and there is no one around him, and he is ready to study the information from the artifact. The artifact informed Master Du Pen that the hidden mission was completed, and he received 30 artifact points and congratulated the master, and he is cool. Du Pen is so happy, and 30 artifact points will suit him. And that's a lot. And in the future, he will pay more attention to hidden missions, and that's a fact. At this time, the enemy hid from Lady Liao Yubi by leaving the restaurant, and he does not understand who the cook is and how he dared to ruin his plan, and he is angry. But at that very second, the enemy froze in place, and he did not expect to see this man, and how he caught up with him, although he covered all his tracks and disappeared from there. The enemy is faced with the guard Li Dongfeng, and he will not forgive the threat to his sweet lady Liao Yubi, and will cruelly punish the enemy and will not let the scoundrel go. Security guard Li Dongfeng stands in front of the enemy and is serious, and he did not expect an attack from the enemy in the restaurant, and therefore Dong lost consciousness. The enemy asked the guard if he was Li Dongfeng, and it was clear that the world boxing champion was able to catch up with him even after being knocked out, and he was not that simple. Guard Li Dongfeng asked the enemy who he was and why he wanted to kill Lady Liao Yubi, and he had better answer. Otherwise it would hurt, and it's true. But the enemy pointed a gun at Li Dongfeng's guard and told the dead that they don't need to know all the information and don't ask unnecessary questions. At that very moment, the enemy shot at Li Dongfeng's guard, and the boxing champion made a grave mistake when he decided to get close to the enemy. But the guard Li Dongfeng sharply dodged the bullet, and he is not weak and will not allow himself to be wounded a second time and will make them beg for mercy. Guard Li Dongfeng and the enemy stand face to face, and neither of the two wants to give up, and each has goals, and they both will show all the techniques. The enemy threw his weapon on the ground, and he is interested in knowing the strength of the world boxing champion Li Dongfeng and wants to fight with his fists, and he is tense. Security guard Li Dongfeng and his opponent punched each other in the face and will fight with their fists to find out who is stronger and who has enough motivation. Du Pen at this time received 30 points for the hidden mission, and he received an additional reward, and this is a red box, and he is so happy. Du Peng asked what it was, and Xiao said it was an additional reward that the master received when he completed a hidden mission and saved Yu. Xiao Yu's assistant told boss Du Peng that the box could contain all kinds of rare items, even those that are not found in this master's world. Du Peng asked Xiao Yu's assistant what the red box meant, and Xiao Yu said there were 7 special types of boxes, and they were ranked according to rank. Xiao Yu told Master Du Peng that red is the lowest rank, and the higher the rank of the box, the better the quality and quantity of special items. Du Peng is excited and curious to know, and asks his assistant Xiao Yu to quickly open the red chest, and they will both immediately find out what is inside. Xiao Yu told Du Peng he needed a key to open the chest. You can get the key by completing missions or by exchanging it for artifact points. Activating the next artifact skill costs 30 points, and buying a key costs 3 points, and the boss is thinking about activating the skill first. Xiao Yu's assistant agrees with Du Peng, and she takes 30 points and activates a new artifact skill, and her master did an excellent job. Xiao Yu's assistant is in a hurry to fulfill Master Du Peng's orders, and he is not lazy and continues to carry out the missions of their artifact every day. And at that moment, a second letter appeared on the keyboard, and Du Pen opens them so quickly and will soon collect all the special skills of the artifact. Du Pen activated the muscular skill, and he will become strong, and their enemies are in danger when Master Du Pen appears nearby, and he is so cool. After activating muscularity, muscle mass will increase, strength and fighting skills will improve significantly, and Du Pen will already become powerful. But the skill's recovery time is 1 hour, and during this time it is important for Du Pen not to let enemies get close to him, and he will find a way to delay them. Xiao Yu told Master Du Peng that he now has the strength of a special forces soldier and is a professional in matters of fighting and conflict resolution. The artifact reported a muscular upgrade, and the price for it is 20 points, and this skill will last 3 minutes. But this is enough for their master. Du Pen thinks he needs to pay special attention to artifact points, and the more he earns, the stronger and more powerful he will become in battles. Du Pen sat down, and first he wants to try out the new power, and it seems he was not mistaken. And power decides the outcome of battles, and he will teach the vile enemies a lesson. Du Pen continues to run, and he has become very fast, and no one can keep up with him. And in case of a threat, he will either hit the enemy or immediately run away. Du Pen stopped near the tree, and he wants to test all the skills that he has improved so that in the future, he will not have any weak points, and this is a fact. Du Peng smiled, and today the master is in a great mood, and Xiao Yu offered a useful artifact skill, and the boss does not regret his choice. Du Pen jumped, and in one jump he was on the top of the tree, and he never doubted his skills, and the boss has great talent. Du Pen realized that if he had acquired this skill earlier, he would definitely not have escaped from the enemy even with his weapon, and now he will not repeat the mistake. Du Peng heard a familiar voice calling him, and he would not confuse her wonderful voice with anyone else, and he became close to Lady Liao Yubi that day. Lady Liao Yubi calls brother Du Peng and where did he go? And she wanted to discuss important aspects with him and must be prepared for the arrival of their enemy. But suddenly, in an instant, Du Peng found himself behind Lady Liao Yubi, and he told his friend that it seemed like she was looking for him and he was standing behind the lady the whole time. Lady Liao Yu is angry with brother Du Peng and asks him to stop running, and she couldn't find him anywhere and why he deceived his friend, and he doesn't regret it. Lady Liao Yubi told brother Du Peng that her father would come soon, and she asked him to tell the whole truth to her father about the incident, and he would punish the enemies. Du Peng is completely shocked, and is it possible that Lady Liao Yubi's father, the popular and respected boss of the Liao Shang faction, will come there, and he is very worried. An hour later, Mr. Liao Shan asked Du Peng if he was telling the truth and whether he would still find out all the information and take action against the enemies. But when Du Peng did not expect this, Mr. Liao Shan told Du Peng that he did not believe him and ordered the guards to tie him up and interrogate him. Du Peng is shocked by Mr. Liao Shan's verdict and why the faction leader doesn't believe his words because he told the truth, and why would he lie to her father? Mr. Liao Shan's guards started walking towards Du Peng, and they will all quickly carry out the boss's order and tie up Du Peng if he is a violator. Lady Liao Yubi asks her father not to rush to conclusions, and Du Peng is clearly not a bad person. And why did her father decide that he was guilty of that incident? Mr. Liao Shan asked his daughter then why Du Peng had sneaked into their house. And what if he was in cahoots with the killer, and they didn't know his motives? Mr. Liao Shang told the guards not to listen to Liao Yubi's excuses, and to tie up the scoundrel Du Peng. And he knows something, and they will find out his plans. Du Peng listens to Mr. Liao Shang's words, and the strong guards immediately surrounded Du Peng and reached out to him and asked why he harmed the boss's family. Du Peng is nervous and told Mr. Liao Shan that he is fed up with them and how to prove that he is innocent. But they are delirious and will soon regret their decision. Mr. Liao Shan's guard grabbed Du Peng's head with all his might and wouldn't let go until the boss gave the order, and Du decided his fate in a day. But Du Peng didn't lose his head, and at the same moment activated the muscle skill and taught the guards a lesson, and Mr. Liao Shan made a mistake there. Du Peng doesn't understand. And if he were an enemy, why would he have come there personally to the father of Lady Liao Yubi, whom he wanted to kill? And where is the boss's logic? Du Peng punched the guards hard in the stomach, and he wants to know who is stronger and let them attack in a crowd, and he doesn't care about them. Another guard of Mr. Liao Shan hid behind Du Peng and attacked the villain, and the weakling will not have time to defend himself from his attacks and is confident in himself. But Du Peng easily managed to dodge the guard's blow, and they were wrong to underestimate his skills, and the victim became a predator, and Du is dangerous. Du Peng landed a serious knee to the guard's face, and they clearly lack intelligence, and the fighters close the distance and are already doomed. Du Peng came close to Mr. Liao Shan and let him answer for his actions, and he explained to the lady's father 1,000 times that he was not guilty. Du Peng kicked Mr. Liao Shan's chair and won't let the boss go until they figure everything out, and Boss Liao crossed the line by attacking Du Peng. Du Peng told Mr. Liao Shan to listen to him, and if he wanted to kill his daughter Liao Yubi, he would have killed her long ago. But Peng is an honest man. Lady Liao Yubi is shocked by Du Peng's actions, and he defeated all of her father's fighters and told the mister that since he is not welcome there, he better leave already. Du Peng wants to leave the Liao family's house, and they irritate him and why his father doesn't believe him. And he's tired of explaining, and he wants to leave but Mr. Liao Shan asks Du Peng to wait and not leave. And they have not clarified important details, and his daughter is still in danger, and this is terrible. Mr. Liao Shan continues to look at Du Peng, and it seems that Du Peng is not lying to him, and he is serious, and will find the true enemy. And this is the goal. But at that very moment, Mr. Liao Shan's man entered the room in a panic and told the boss that Li Dongfeng had already received a very serious injury. Lady Liao Yubi is completely shocked by the news from her colleagues and how her guard Li Dongfeng received serious injuries, and it seems that the opponent is to blame. Friends, having learned of Li Dongfeng's serious injury, arrived at the hospital, and they were obliged to visit him, and the boxer always protected Lady Liao Yubi. Lady Liao Yubi and Du Peng are waiting to see how the operation goes and are worried about the guard Li Dongfeng, and he tried very hard to take revenge on Lady Liao Yubi. Mr. Liao Shan asks his daughter to stop crying, and they can only wait for the end of the operation, and he never doubted their fighter Li Dong. Mr. Liao Shan told his daughter that the guard Li Dongfeng is strong and will be fine, and he has already sent people to find their enemy. Mr. Liao Shan is serious, and no matter who he is, the father will make the enemy pay for trying to kill his daughter and teach him the manners of a scoundrel. The surgeon opened the door to the intensive care unit, and he will tell Li Dongfeng's friends and family how the operation went, and they waited for their friend there for many hours. Lady Liao Yubi immediately approached the surgeon and asked the doctor how Li Dongfeng was, and whether they believed that he was okay and had survived his injuries in the battle. The surgeon said Li Dongfeng's situation is difficult, but for now he is stable, and it looks like he will be bedridden for another 6 months, and he is sorry for all of this. Mr. Liao Shan thanked the doctor for his hard work, and he saved the life of their friend Li Dongfeng, and they will never forget his feat. Mr. Liu Shang told his daughter that if the enemy was able to defeat the guard Li Dongfeng, then he is so strong, and Liao Yubi said the enemy has a weapon. Mr. Liao Shan asks Liao Yubi's daughter not to leave the house for now, and he will find her another guard, and their family is in danger, and this is true. At this time, Du Peng is standing by the window and singing songs. And Mr. Liao Shang realized this was a hint of fate, and he must discuss the details with his friend Liao Yu. Mr. Liao Shan asks Du Peng to come to him, and he wants to discuss something with him, and would be grateful if he does not refuse Boss Liao's request. Du Peng asked Mr. Liao Shan what he wanted from him, and he was ready to approach him but was afraid that Mr. Liao Shan would not believe his friend's words again. Mr. Liao Shan asked Du Peng if he would like to become his daughter Liao Yubi's guard, and it seems that with him she is under protection, and this is important. Du Peng was surprised and asked Mr. Liao Shang why he was already worthy of becoming Lady Liao Yubi's guard and why Mr. trusted. Mr. Liao Shan told Du Peng that he has special skills and is clearly capable of protecting his daughter from enemies, and has proven in practice that he is not weak. Mr. Liao Shang told Du Peng that he would pay him 30,000 every month, but the father begged his friend to protect Liao Yu's daughter. Du Peng froze in place, and he had never heard of a salary of $30,000 in his life, and he was lucky that he was friends with Lady Liao Yu. Du Peng agrees to become Lady Liao Yubi's guard, and Mr. Liao has nothing to worry about and will protect his daughter from any dangerous enemies. After these events, Du Peng came to the Liao family's house at night, and he cannot believe that he is working as a guard for Lady Liao Yubi. And this is a success. Lady Liao Yubi took Du Peng to the room, and now it is his room, and a friend can ask anything, and she will answer him and pay attention. Du Peng was surprised and asked Lady Liao Yu if the guard really received food and housing, and he did not know about it. And Lady Liao pleasantly surprised her friend. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Du Peng that he must always protect her, and therefore he must live close to her and not worry about everything. Du Peng said, "Thank you to Lady Liao Yubi, and her friend will never forget her kindness, and he has nothing to complain about, and the Liao family has already given him everything." Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Du Peng that he could call her simply Liao Yubi, and she would call him Brother Du Peng if he didn't mind, and she was happy. Du Peng smiled and said to Liao Yu, if she doesn't mind, he doesn't mind either, and she can call him Brother Du Peng, and he is happy to be Liao Yu's sister. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Du Peng that she wanted to go to bed, and he shouldn't stay awake too long, otherwise he wouldn't get enough sleep at night. Du Peng lay down on the bed, and it was so soft, and for the first time after 2 months of work, he could lie down normally and not think about the problem. And Xiao Yu's assistant appeared there, and is Master Du Peng really rich? And is this place much better than the booth where Du lived and he achieved success? Du Peng was furious with Xiao Yu's assistant's words and asked when his house became a doghouse and let him answer the question, and Xiao Yu was making him so angry. Du Peng remembered that he had completely forgotten to pay the rent for the apartment, and it looked like he would have to ask Mr. Liao Shan for an advance payment, and this was important. Xiao Yu's assistant approached Master Du Peng, and the boss asked Xiao Yu what she wanted to tell him, and he was all ears and ready to answer. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that he could see Lady Liao Yubi's room from there, and wouldn't he be interested in seeing the lady? Du Peng imagined the image of the sweet Liao Yubi in his fantasies, and she is beautiful and no one can compare to the wall, and the lady has a special charisma, and she is unique. Du Peng looked through the window and asked Xiao Yu's assistant where Liao Yubi was, and she said that from there the master would be able to see Lady Liao. Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant that he couldn't see anything and that maybe he was looking at it from a different angle, and that's why he didn't notice Lady Liao. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that he was truly a pervert, and she didn't think he was so keen on following beautiful women. Du Peng asks Xiao Yu's assistant to shut up, and he is a kind person, and he is not interested in following the beautiful figure of cute ladies and does not lie. Du Peng sat down and needed to restrain himself more, and he would clearly never harm Lady Liao Yubi, and she was too dear to him and he respected her. But at that moment Du Peng noticed an interesting detail, and why he hadn't noticed it before, and the guard had to be on the alert. Du Peng looks into the courtyard of the Liao family's house and sees if this is a secret entrance and remembers the basement next to the restaurant where the enemy came from. And when Du Peng did not expect this, someone began to open the door of the secret entrance, and Du Peng's guard was not yet ready to fight the enemy. Du Peng is wary, and it seems that there is someone in the secret entrance, and he is obliged to personally check everything, and maybe the enemy decided to take revenge on Lady Liao. Du Peng doesn't take his eyes off the secret entrance, and he will find the answer to the question, and you just have to wait a couple of minutes and the enemy himself will come out into the courtyard. And at that moment, a young lady peeked out from the secret entrance, and Du Peng continues to look at the entrance and the actions of the stranger in Liao's house. An unfamiliar young lady looks around, and the lady is convinced that there is no threat to her on the territory, and she will start the plan as soon as possible. The lady is in a great mood, and it seems no one noticed how she so quietly entered the territory of the Liao family's house, and she is already a pro. The young lady has a villainous laugh, and Dupan doesn't know what plans and ambitions the young lady has, and why she entered through the secret entrance. Dupan thought about the young lady, and maybe she is a new killer, but she doesn't look like a killer, and she doesn't have an ominous aura, and that's true. Duping rushed to the exit, and he, as the guard of Lady Liao Yubi, will check what the stranger is up to and kick her out of the Liao family mansion soon. Duping stands around the corner of the house and quietly watches the stranger, and he will not harm her until she threatens Lady Liao Yubi, and decided everything himself. The young lady opened the kitchen door and began to enter the family's house, and Dupen often saw villains, but the young stranger was not one of them. She saw a stranger in the kitchen with different dishes, and she was delighted, and the Liao family was eating luxurious food. But she only dreamed of such dishes. But she was lucky. Dupan wondered if the stranger was just a thief who stole food from rich people, and he was interested to know what the stranger was capable of. Dupeng abruptly walked into the kitchen and asked the stranger what she was doing and who allowed her to take food to the Liao family, and whether he was obliged to punish her there. The stranger turned around and realized that they had noticed her, and that she was not simple, and that they should not underestimate her, and that Dupan had stood in their way in vain, and that he had made a mistake. And at that very second, the stranger quickly walked towards Dupen, and he was perplexed, and Dupen's guard had never been in such a situation. The stranger kneed Dupen in the stomach, and she warned him not to stand and block her way and let the guard remember. Dupen flew a couple of meters from the stranger's blow and fell on the grass, and why the stranger began to attack him, and Pen is clearly not her enemy. The stranger quickly disappeared around the corner of the Liao family's house, and guard Dupeng realized that from that moment on, he would not make any mistakes and would catch her. Dupen is hurt by the stranger's blow, and she is fast and agile, and how she managed to escape when he cornered her, and she is a talented lady. Dupen won't let the stranger escape, and the keyboard will help him, and he must use the artifact, otherwise he won't catch the intruder. Dupen activated the skill of the muscle artifact, and the stranger is digging a hole for herself, and he is not the type to spare someone who threatens his friends. Dupeng went after the stranger, and today she was unlucky. And the Liao family is guarded by Dupeng's guard, and he will calm down any enemies there. The stranger wanted to escape through a secret entrance, and the guard definitely won't catch her, and he made a mistake when he chased her, and no one will catch the lady. But when the stranger did not expect Dupeng to grab her by the shoulder, she did not think that Lady Liao Yubi had a special guard, and he was not so simple. Dupan told the stranger good evening, and that you can't hit people if they haven't done anything to you, and he asked her to learn her lesson forever. The stranger was surprised and wondered if the guard Dupen could really keep up with her, and no one else had ever managed to do this. And it seemed like he really was a strong fighter. The stranger is angry and told Dupan how rich people waste food, and she always takes what they were about to throw out, and it's all true. Dupen looked at the stranger's bag personally, and the lady asked her brother what he was doing, and whether it was indecent to touch another lady's things, and where were the manners. Dupen was convinced that the stranger was 100% right, and she took the leftovers from the kitchen that they were about to throw out, and he checked everything. Dupen thinks the lady is just a petty thief, and he will let her go, and there is no need to injure the lady. But the stranger noticed how the guard opened, and at that very moment, the stranger suddenly dealt a powerful blow to the stomach of Dupen's guard and warned that she was a dangerous woman. Dupen realized the stranger had brazenly hit him again when he lost concentration, and he would teach the vile lady a lesson, and she would not hide there. Dupan decided that he would definitely catch the stranger, and she would answer for her vile actions, and she hit him in the stomach twice, and he was angry. Dupan goes through a secret entrance and doesn't know where the lady ran off to, and he's left her behind. But he'll definitely find her, and the master believes in his skills. Dupen noticed the stranger's footprints on the ground, and he is not weak, and will find a way to catch up with the stranger, and she already imagines herself to be the strongest. At this time, a stranger came to the slums, and he is the breadwinner in the family, and without her help, the family cannot survive, and the lady will not abandon them, and they are the best. A stranger came into the house and hoped her relatives were not worried about her. But she disappeared for 2 hours and did not tell her relatives where she was going, and they were waiting. 2 little children are waiting for their sister, and the girl screamed, and their older sister came back, and she and her brother missed her and were happy to see her at home. My sister asked her family to eat, and today my sister brought them a lot of delicious dishes, and they will have dinner like normal people, and this is important. Dupeng wondered if the stranger had always been stealing food from the Liao family for these 2 cute children, and it seemed like they had lost their mom and dad. Dupeng is sad, and the stranger never wanted to harm Lady Liao Yubi, and he forgives her for hitting him and does not want to take revenge for everything. But suddenly at that moment, an artifact flashed in front of Dupeng, and he doesn't know what the keyboard needs, and Xiao Yu won't come to the master for trifles. Dupan is perplexed, and it seems the artifact wants to give a new mission, and he was only watching the stranger. But how did he then receive a special assignment? The artifact informed Master Du Peng of his new mission, and the boss is obliged to win the heart of Ran Wang Yue, and Du Peng did not understand what this mission is. Du Peng thought about Ran Wang Yue, and this is the name of the stranger, and the system wants him not to leave her in trouble, and he also did not want to harm Ran Wang Yue. Du Peng imagined himself pestering Ran Wang Yue, and it seemed like it meant winning Ran Wang Yue's heart, and the artifact surprised him there. Du Peng stopped fantasizing about what he was thinking, and the artifact clearly didn't want him to pester Ran Wang Yue, and he misunderstood the facts. Du Peng decided to check the details of the mission, and the information would help him, and he would not be distracted by other matters, except Ran Wang Yue. Du Peng has studied the mission description, and he is obliged to get rid of Ran Wang Yue's problems, and the reward for the mission to the boss is 20 points and 1 keys. Du Peng doesn't know, and getting rid of the problem is very vague, but he is attracted by the reward, and Du will be able to open the chest that he received earlier. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that this type of mission requires his own decisions, but the rewards are better than daily missions. Du Peng is curious, and Ran Wang Yue has a fierce appearance, but the master understood, and the lady is kind, and she only helps her brother and sister, and he appreciates. Ran Wang Yue asks her brother and sister to eat more slowly and not to choke on the food, and no one will take their food away from them, and she will protect her family from their enemies. Du Peng smiled, and he was glad that Ran Wang Yue was kind, and it wouldn't be difficult to help her, and thanks to the artifact that introduced him to Ran Wang Yue. Du Peng thinks he must accept the mission, and realize that Ran Wang Yue has a very hard time finding food for his family every day, and he will not interfere with the lady. Du Peng started walking towards Ran Wang Yue, and the lady realized that there was someone there, and whether the Liu family's guard had found her, and they were in danger there. Du Peng appeared in front of Ran Wang Yue with food in his hands, and he definitely won't harm poor Ran Wang Yue and her family, and they were raised differently. Ran Wang Yue covered her brother and sister with herself, and asked the guard Du Peng what he needed and why he came to their house, and let him answer everything. But at that very moment, Du Peng threw a bag of groceries towards Ran Wang Yue, and wants to prove that he is not an enemy, and Ran has no need to worry about her family. Ran Wang Yue was surprised, and did anyone owe her anything, and why did the Liao family's guard decide to bring them food, and she didn't know it? Du Peng told Ran Wang Yue that he brought some food for the children and she could come back next time, but she should be careful in the house. Du Peng leaves Ran Wang Yue's house and does not want to waste their time, and all the children are required to have a hearty dinner and gain strength and energy for work. Ran Wang Yue smiled, and she was happy, and never expected that the Liao family's guard would come to her house at night and help her at a critical moment. Ran Wang Yue took the bag of groceries and thought that Du Peng was a kind and polite person, and he just left them food, and it was a godsend. Ran Wang Yue told the children that they now have even more food and asked them to take some food to Xiao Yu, and she is also hungry and they will help Xiao Yu. Du Peng was surprised, and was the mission not completed, and maybe the problem is not in the food, and how to solve Ran Wang Yue's problems the master does not know. Du Peng came to the house and wondered what the problem was, and the master thought he should be more friendly with Ran Wang Yue, and he would find out what the problem was. Du Peng wants to quickly complete the mission and open the chest, and what he is doing wrong and how to solve Ran Wang Yue's problem, and he is already confused. Du Peng called Xiao Yu's assistant and said, "Good evening." Xiao Yu is not a fool, and understood that the master needed something and asked what the master wanted. Du Peng asked Xiao Yu after accepting one mission whether he can still accept other missions, and he is curious to know and intrigued. Xiao Yu's assistant told Du Peng that, of course, he can accept other missions, and in the upper left corner there is a mission log, and the master will take a look. Du Peng was furious and asked Xiao Yu's assistant why she didn't tell the master about this then, and he should know all the information sooner. Xiao Yu's assistant stuck out her tongue and told the boring Du Peng that he didn't ask her about other missions, and why is Yu to blame for everything now? Du Peng opened the list of missions, and he doesn't know many secrets of the artifact, and he has a stupid assistant Xiao Yu who never helps the boss. Du Peng saw a list of missions for today in the artifact system, and he wants to study all the missions and choose the ideal option for the master. Du Peng is perplexed by what this is and why the master never studied the list of missions, and the artifact specifically hides the data from the master. Du Peng clicked on one of the missions and wants to study the information, and it is important for him to earn artifact points and unlock new skills these days. Du Peng learned about the mission data, and the girl moves into a new house alone, and Du Peng is obliged to help her move in and receive a reward of 3 system points. Du Peng is angry, and the lady is just moving to another place, and why did Xiao Yu bother him with missions? And this is ordinary clickbait, and the master is so angry. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that the system was already using clickbait to lure people in, and Master Du Peng fell for it. Du Peng is surprised by the words of Xiao Yu's assistant, and is it really for a reason that the artifact publishes clickbait and seduces people? Du has a guess. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Dupeng that he is not the only one who owns the artifact in the world, and that Master should accept this fact. Dupeng is completely shocked, and why didn't Xiao Yu's assistant tell him about this earlier? And she is hiding important information and infuriating the Master. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Dupeng that he himself was an idiot, and never asked her about the other owners of the artifact and why he was nervous. Dupeng asked Xiao Yu where the other artifact owners were, and Xiao Yu didn't know, and he would see them in the future, and the Master didn't need to rush. Dupeng told Xiao Yu's assistant that he was clear that nothing was clear, and the boss would better continue to look for missions and he would not receive data from stupid Yu. And at that moment, Dupeng noticed something in the artifact system, and the boss was extremely surprised. And what it was, and why he was absent-minded and did not understand anything. Dupeng wondered if he had received a new mission from the system again, and the artifact was giving him no peace and was bothering the Master everywhere and always. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Dupeng that this was a unique mission, and she specifically asked Master not to grumble and study the mission. Dupeng studied the mission of the artifact system, and the Master is obliged to massage Lady Liao Yubi. And where do such strange missions come from in their system? Dupeng imagined himself giving a massage to Lady Liao Yubi, and he could only dream about it. But the system helped him achieve success. Dupeng is in complete shock, and is this a special mission from the system for its master, and he didn't know that the artifact is capable of pleasing the boss with a mission. Xiao Yu's assistant asked Master Dupeng if Du had any problems with this mission, and the boss could refuse the mission if he didn't like it. But Dupeng is in a great mood. It's just that this mission is so good and Master Dupeng has no right to complain about anything and respects Xiao Yu. Dupeng accepted the mission, and the artifact system changed and gives him cool tasks. And at this pace, the Master will soon achieve all the goals. Dupeng left the room and discussed all the details with Xiao Yu, and no one will stop him from giving Lady Liao Yubi a massage, and it's all for the sake of the mission. Dupeng decided it was time to take a shower and got lost in the hallway and couldn't find where the bathroom was, and he forgot to ask Lady Liao about the bathroom. Dupeng continues to search the Liao family's house for a bathroom and will check all the rooms until he finds the bathroom, and Dupeng is the best detective in their city. Dupeng opened the door and realized it was a bathroom, and the Liao family's house was huge and it was difficult to find the right rooms, and they needed to ask Lady Liao Yubi. Dupeng opened the curtains in the bathroom, and he will take a shower while everyone is sleeping and will not disturb other colleagues and complete the task of the artifact system. Dupeng opened the curtains and realized he had made a serious mistake and was singing songs, and did not hear how someone was already in the bathroom, and he was ashamed of everything. Dupeng saw Lady Liao Yubi in the bathroom and froze in shock, not thinking that the lady was taking a shower, and he found himself in an awkward situation. Lady Liao Yubi started screaming, and why did guard Dupeng come in there and tell her to leave? And he was making her nervous, and why did he go into the bathroom in the evening? Lady Liao Yubi continues to scream, and Dupeng quickly left the bathroom, and he did not want to harm the lady, but it seems she will never forgive her brother. Dupeng came out of the bathroom in a moment, and what did he do? And he will be fired, and Lady Liao Yubi will tell her father about this incident, and Liao Shang will punish him. But Dupeng remembered, and Lady Liao Yubi's skin was so soft, and he had never seen such a beautiful lady, and she was an angel, and motivated him. And at that very moment, Lady Liao Yubi called Dupeng, and he realized that it was already the end for him, and how to explain to the lady that his brother did not go into the bathroom on purpose. Lady Liao Yubi yells at brother Dupeng, and let him remember that this is her bathroom, and he is forbidden to go there, and this is important, and she is not joking. Lady Liao Yubi pointed her finger and told brother Dupeng that his bathroom was in that direction, and asked what he was doing there and why he was walking around the house at night. Lady Liao Yubi told brother Dupeng that the first time she would forgive him for his mistake, he must forget everything and be more careful next time. Dupeng listens to the words of Lady Liao Yubi, and thanks for her kindness, and he already knows where his bathroom is, and thanks that she did not take him away, and he appreciates. Lady Liao Yubi asks brother Dupeng to go and rest, and tomorrow she and guard Dupeng are going to visit her best friend, and this is all important. Dupeng turned to Lady Liao Yubi, and she asked her brother what else he wanted to know and let him ask questions, and she was ready to help the guard. Dupeng asked Lady Liao Yubi if he could get an advance and pay off his debt, and he guaranteed that he would soon earn his entire salary. Lady Liao Yubi told brother Dupeng that of course he can get an advance and that his friend saved her life and can ask her for anything and she is in debt. The next morning, Dupeng came to the old apartment, and he feels the atmosphere of the old apartment and is obliged to give the money to the owner quickly. Dupeng gave the money to the landlady for the rent of the apartment, and he did not lie to her and gave the money back in 2 days and hopes she is not angry with him. The landlady asked Dupeng why he gave her 1,500 yuan. What about the next month's rent? And what Dupeng had in mind. Dupeng told the landlady that he was moving out next month and that he had a lot of things to do and that he would move to another apartment and thank her. The landlady is furious, and the idiot should have said earlier where she would find a tenant, but Dupeng feels sorry and asks the landlady for forgiveness. But at that very moment, the apartment owner grabbed the rest of the money from Du Pen's hands, and she will take compensation for moral damages from Du Pen. The owner of the apartment asks Du Pen to be ready, and soon she will find someone to look at the apartment, and the lady remembers all of Du Pen's actions. Du Pen is crying while listening to the words of the apartment owner, and she took 3,000 from him, and he is broke again, and he needs to find money, and this is a problem. Du Peng left the apartment and remembers how Lady Liao Yubi said that they were going to her friend's house today, and he was obliged to protect Lady Liao Yu everywhere. Du Peng checked, and he has about 3 hours before that. And Lady Liao Yubi believes that he will protect him from any enemies, and she is absolutely right. Du Pen wants to take a walk, and at that moment he noticed the police and 2 officers were having a serious conversation with someone, and Pen is obliged to find out everything. The police told Ran Wangyue that she cannot sell things there, and she asks for forgiveness from the police officers, and she did not know and will leave there. The police officers told Ran Wangyue that she could leave, but they had to confiscate the bag, and Ran Wangyue was completely shocked by them. Du Peng recognized Ran Wangyue, and he must help her, and the police officers will not give her the bag just like that, and he will find a way to explain everything to them. Du Peng noticed how worried Ran Wangyue was there from the pressure of the 2 police officers and why they didn't care that she was still a child. Du Peng wants to go to Ran Wangyue's side, and she is in a dangerous situation, and he will not allow the police officers to take Ran Wang with them to the station. But Du Peng didn't have time to approach Ran Wangyue, and when Du didn't expect it at all, the lady dealt a powerful blow to the stomach of the police officer there. The police officer is screaming and is in a lot of pain, and why is Ran Wangyue hitting him, and they will take action against her and punish her for her impudent actions. Du Peng realized that Ran Wangyue had a strong blow and that she was ready to stand up for herself and had been protecting herself and her family from their enemies for so long. A police officer said on the radio that someone was causing a disturbance and 2 people urgently needed help, but both were unable to stop the violent offender. And then other people started walking towards Ran Wangyue, and they will punish her for the mess, and who allowed her to injure a police officer. And this is brazen. Ran Wangyue and Du Peng realized this was a problem, and she couldn't overcome so many people alone. And the lady didn't know where to hide from the vile officers, and at that very second, without thinking twice, Du Peng activated the muscle skill and let Ran Wangyue not worry, and he would save her from the villains in an instant. Du Peng is serious and will not spare anyone who threatens Ran Wangyue, and they will have to defeat her friend first to take her to themselves. The man asked Ran Wangyue if she was one of those who staged a show on their territory and fought with police officers, and she was annoying them. Ran Wangyue asks her uncle for forgiveness, and she didn't hit their police officer on purpose, and he threatened her and started using force, and that's a fact. The police officer told Ran Wangyue to give up the bag, and she would go with them to the police station and answer for her actions, and the court would decide her fate. Ran Wangyue is not afraid of stupid police officers and told the officer that this time she will not go with them and let them drag her away by force if they can. But at that moment, Du Peng stood in front of Ran Wangyue and kicked the villain in the stomach, and he promised his friend to protect her from all their enemies. The police officer was thrown a couple of meters by Du Pen's blow and crashed into his colleagues. Unaware that Du Pen had enormous power and strength in his arms, Du Peng didn't lose his head and quickly grabbed Ran Wangyue's hand, and they both had to run quickly, and those idiots wouldn't catch them, and he would protect her. Du Peng is tired of carrying out missions every day. But Ran Wangyue is special, and he doesn't want to leave her in trouble and is ready to help the lady in any situation. Ran Wangyue smiled, and she is glad that brother Du Peng found her himself, and with him she feels protected, and her brother always comes on time. The police officer is furious and tells the idiots to run after them no matter what, and they are obliged to catch the bastards and put them both in jail. Du Peng walked into a narrow alley and told Ran Wangyue that they could hide there, and the police officers wouldn't be able to find them, and he promised. The police captain asks the officers to search the other side and how the vile children dared to hit him, and he will take revenge on them 1,000 times worse for everything. The police captain asks the children to hope that he doesn't catch them, otherwise he will severely punish them for hitting the captain and he will never forgive them. Du Peng appreciated Ran Wangyue's figure, and she is a very beautiful lady, but he will not harm her, and she is in danger and police officers are watching everywhere. Ran Wangyue stares at the area, and she believes their enemies won't find them in the alley, and she dragged Du Peng's brother into the matter. And at that moment, Du Peng noticed a police officer next to them, and he lost concentration and did not see how the officer entered the alley. Du Peng hugged Ran Wangyue tightly and asked her not to worry, and that she was under the protection of Master Du Peng, and he would solve the problem and remove the officers. Du Peng felt the shape and softness of Ran Wangyue and wants time to freeze at this moment, and he is ready to stand in this position with Ran forever. Ran Wangyue is angry with his brother and asks Du Peng to go and stop doing this, and even in this situation he thinks about his lust, and it is stupid. Du Peng told Ran Wangyue that he was just afraid that the police officers would find them, and that's why he held her close and he didn't want to hurt her. Ran Wangyue and Du Peng started to come out of the alley and they do not hear the shouts of the police officers and must scout out the situation. Ran Wangyue told brother Du Peng that it looked like the police officers had left and thanked him for his help, and she wouldn't have coped without her friend, and he saved her. Du Peng asks Ran Wangyue not to rush and asked if she is really that bad with money and it is important for him to find out information to help. Ran Wangyue is shaking and Du Peng is nervous, and what did he say wrong? And in her situation he wants to know why she breaks the law on the streets. Ran Wangyue smiled and told brother Du Peng that she had no problem with money and decided to work part-time to buy food for her 2 children. Du Peng asked Ran Wangyue about the children, and they were abandoned and homeless, and Ran Wangyue agreed. But compared to her, all these children were lucky. Ran Wangyue says goodbye to brother Du Peng and she leaves, and they will see each other another time, and she is lucky that she found a kind brother and a genius brother. Du Peng understood that he needed to be patient, and if he got closer to Ran Wangyue, he would learn about her problem and would definitely fulfill the system's mission. Du Peng wants to know how Lady Liao Yubi is doing and was surprised to see her, and why the lady didn't call him, because the guard is always near the family. Du Peng noticed how Lady Liao Yubi was carrying a box of wine and why no one helped her, and the young lady should not carry the boxes alone, and this is a fact. Du Peng asks Lady Liao Yubi to let him help her, and he has so much strength and energy, and he will take the box where the lady says, and he is ready. Du Peng took the box from Lady Liao Yubi's hands, and it seems he missed a detail and is obliged to keep an eye on Lady Liao Yubi everywhere, and now he will not let Liao go. Du Peng is monitoring the condition of Lady Liao Yubi, and she is not well, and he does not understand what happened at her friend's birthday party, and he will find out everything. Lady Liao Yubi asks Brother Du Peng to be careful, and all these wines are very expensive and they must not break a single bottle now. Du Peng told Lady Liao Yubi not to worry, and that he was very strong and would not break the wine bottles, and Lady Yu should worry about other things. Du Peng and Lady Liao Yubi went into the cellar, and Du Peng learned that the Liao family liked wines so much, and they differentiated them by variety and the age of the wine. Lady Liao Yubi asks brother Du Peng to sort the wines by year, and he himself said that he has a lot of strength and is ready to do anything. Du Peng put down a box of wine, and why Lady Liao Yubi often doesn't listen to him, and rushes her brother in any matter, and the lady can trust him. Du Peng told Lady Liao Yubi that she should go and change her clothes, and he himself would handle her task, and he did not need support, and her brother was an expert. Lady Liao Yubi had not noticed that her clothes were dirty until this moment, and she always wants to look perfect and does not wear dirty clothes. Lady Liao Yubi was very ashamed and came out of the cellar and would soon change her clothes, and fortunately Du Peng noticed the dirt and stain on the lady's clothes. Lady Liao Yubi continues to come out of the cellar, and Du Peng is again convinced that Mr. Liao Shan's daughter is a beauty and she is the best of all. Du Peng activated the skill of enhancing all senses and realized that life there is a real feast for the eyes, and the Liao family is an elegant family in every way. A couple of minutes later, Du Peng entered Lady Liao Yubi's room, and he wants to tell her about the task, and he will be the fastest to sort everything out, and he is unique. Du Peng noticed how Lady Liao Yubi was lying on the sofa, and it looked like she already needed help, and the guard didn't care about the lady's health and wasn't lying. Du Peng stood next to Lady Liao Yubi, and she herself provokes him to various fantasies, and he will never betray the lady and protect her from problems. Du Peng told Lady Liao Yubi that he had moved all the wines to the cellar, and in 5 minutes had sorted them by year and replenished the shelves and had not let Lady Liao down. Lady Liao Yubi told brother Du Peng that he was a good man, but her shoulders hurt and she shouldn't have carried the boxes of wine, and he was right, and it was worth waiting for her brother there. Du Peng asked Lady Liao Yubi if her shoulders were hurting and realized that this was his chance to complete the mission, and he wouldn't have to bother Lady Yu. Lady Liao Yubi asked brother Du Peng if he knew how to do massage, and if he could help her with her injury, and she believed that he was capable of anything. Du Peng told Liao Yubi that she is 100% right and that brother Du Peng knows how to massage, and Lady Yu will forget about the pain in her shoulders in a couple of minutes. Lady Liao Yubi asks brother Du Peng to go to her and help get rid of the pain in her shoulders, and the brother has many hidden talents and they will find out everything. Du Peng is nervous and sweating heavily from Lady Liao Yubi's request, and he has never massaged a beautiful lady and doesn't know how to behave there. Du Peng started to massage Lady Liao Yubi, and she told brother Du that he is a professional and knows anything, and his massage method is amazing. Du Peng continues to give massages professionally, and he will never refuse Lady Liao Yubi's request and will already learn any skills. Lady Liao Yubi asks brother Du Peng to massage a little lower, and she does not complain about anything, and the guard perfectly kneaded her shoulders and he is cool. Du Peng appreciated the slender figure of Lady Liao Yubi, And she is beautiful, and he does not understand how someone cannot like such a lady, and this is absurd. Du Ping realized that Lady Liao Yubi is so gentle, and it is not for nothing that she is the leader and daughter of the boss of the Liao Shang faction, and it seems that Lady Liao Yu has many fans. Du Ping guarantees and will relieve Lady Liao Yubi from shoulder pain, and Brother Du learned the massage technique in 1 minute and can help anyone. But when Du Peng gives a massage to Lady Liao Yubi, the elephant in him awakens, and Du Peng becomes very nervous, and this situation raises questions for them. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Du Ping that he could stop massaging her and she was much better and he was a professional and healed Lady Liao Yu. Lady Liao Yubi is delighted, and she did not know that Du Ping knows how to do massage as an experienced massage therapist, and where he learned all the techniques from. Du Ping told Lady Liao Yubi that he always gave massages to his mother, and the lady seems lucky that in the future it will be Peng who will give her massages. Du Peng was surprised by Lady Liao Yubi's words, and did she really want him to give her massages in the future, and it seemed like her brother surprised her with his technique. Du Peng is happy, and he is the only one who is lucky there, and Lady Liao Yubi does not know how much he likes to give her a massage, and her brother will not let her down. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Du Peng that she would take the bag and they would go to her best friends and she would not be able to get anywhere without Du Peng's guard. Lady Liao Yubi left the room and Du Peng thought everything was perfect and he didn't want to spoil his relationship with Liao Yubi and would support and help her. But suddenly at that very second Xiao Yu's assistant appeared and she was happy and congratulated the master and he successfully completed the mission and was irresistible. Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant that she scared him and that he shouldn't scream, and his heart almost stopped, and that she would be to blame for everything. Boss Du Peng received 5 points and 1 cooling tablet from the artifact, and the master asked Xiao Yu what it was, and the boss wants to know. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that this pill allows him to bypass the skill cooldown once, and the master will continue to fight. Du Peng understood everything and will use it in an emergency situation, and remembered that he can exchange 5 points for a red chest. And this is an intrigue. Du Peng thought, on the other hand, he received a reward for finding Ran Wang Yue, and should he exchange it for the key, and he did not decide this issue. Xiao Yu's assistant forgot to tell Master Du Peng that the key might not only be red, and Master Peng would learn new information. Du Peng asked Xiao Yu what he meant, and there are already 7 chests whose rank is judged by rarity and color, and all the items are different. Xiao Yu told Master Du Peng that the better the chest, the better the things in it, and each chest has a key of different colors and there is a certain nuance. The chest requires a key of the same color to open it, and in addition to the red key, Du Peng can exchange points for orange keys. Du Peng asked Xiao Yu what color the key to Ran Wang Yue's quest was, and the assistant said the master must complete the mission to find out. In this case, Du Peng will exchange for a red key, and to open another skill of the artifact, Du Peng needs to accumulate 80 points. Assistant Xiao Yu told Master Du Peng that she had to tell him something important, so that the boss wouldn't embarrass himself in front of people and that it was so important. Assistant Xiao Yu pointed to Master Du Peng's body and told the boss that he was such a pervert and always knew about the boss's character and habits. Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant to shut up and that it was okay, and it was not for her to judge the master's character. She judged Boss Du not by his actions. Du Peng is indignant, and Xiao Yu's assistant is always being smart and the master already needs to teach her a lesson and teach her good manners or forget about you. Du Peng decided to use the key, and he is very interested to know what he will get from the artifact system and what is hidden in the red chest. The artifact system asked Master Du Peng if he wanted to open the chest with the red key, and she would fulfill Master Du's wish. Du Peng stuck the key into the chest, and even Xiao Yu's assistant doesn't know what's hidden in the chest, and he might get random things, and these are facts. The boss opened the chest and received 1 enhancement pill, and Xiao Yu's assistant said the pill would improve the artifact's skills, and the boss was lucky. Du Peng was delighted and asked Xiao Yu's assistant if the master could improve super perception or muscles with a special pill. Assistant Xiao Yu told Master Du Peng that he is absolutely right and he can decide which skill to improve, and it all depends on the boss's choice. Du Peng has checked 2 skills of the keyboard artifact, and he still needs to open many skills and he really wants to know all the secrets of the artifact. Du Peng found out the cost of the upgrade is the same, and thinks it's better for him to upgrade super perception first, and it's definitely useful against the enemy. Xiao Yu's assistant agrees with Du Peng and applied the pill and instantly improved the master's super perception, and he deserves the best, and these are the facts. And at that very second, Xiao Yu threw a pill in Master Du Peng's face. And he is talented, and in the future, he will surely reveal all the skills of the artifact. Du Peng has improved his perception skill, the skill cooldown has been reduced, and the skill time barrier has been increased, and the master is pleased with the progress. And at that very moment, Du Peng froze in place from shock, And did he really get a new skill, X-ray vision, and the boss is happy and this is fantastic. Lady Liao Yubi entered the room and asked Brother Dupeng if he was ready. And the guard told Lady Liao that he was 100% ready and was waiting for her arrival. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Dupeng that they would go to her best friend's birthday party and the guard would protect them on the way to the party. Dupeng and Lady Liao Yubi left the building and are walking on the street, and they don't want any trouble, and she believes that Brother Dupeng foresees all the dangers. Dupeng wondered if he should already test his X-ray vision, and he was eager to learn how vision works and he was curious. But Dupeng drove away the bad thoughts and he was obliged to use his vision for something important. And he shouldn't look at different ladies, and this was a clear mistake. Dupeng and Lady Liao Yubi stood near the sweet coffee shop, and the master does not know why the lady stopped walking, and maybe she will explain everything to him there. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Dupeng that they had arrived and that they needed to go to the coffee shop. And Dupeng asked the lady why they both came to the coffee shop. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Dupeng that this establishment belongs to her and her best friend, and asked her brother to come in and not worry in vain. Dupeng agrees with Lady Liao Yubi, but something is bothering him, and he must be absolutely sure that Liao is not in any danger. Dupeng glanced to the side, and he will ensure the safety of Lady Liao Yubi, and those who decided to hurt his friend today are unlucky, and he is nearby. Dupeng noticed someone standing around the corner, and he had already improved his skills, and no enemy would get close to Lady Liao Yubi unnoticed, and that's true. Dupeng doesn't know who's hiding there, and someone was clearly waiting for him and Liao Yubi to come to the coffee shop, and he doesn't know the enemy's motives, but Du is already prepared. Dupeng activated the super perception skill, and it was not for nothing that the boss received a special artifact, and this is a gift, and the boss will use her skills to the maximum. Dupeng activated his vision and sees through objects, and the system constantly gives him valuable skills, and he develops as a fighter and is already happy. Dupeng saw the enemy standing around the corner and what his plans were, and he took no action for a long time and kept an eye on Lady Liao Yubi. Dupeng started walking towards the stranger, and the enemy was standing around the corner and didn't know where to go and was very nervous. And why was Dupeng going towards him? And at that moment, suddenly, Dupeng looked at the stranger and said, "Glad to meet him, and why is he standing there and not coming closer to Dupeng's brother?" The enemy immediately ran away from there, and he didn't need any problems. And Dupeng realized that the stranger was running too fast, and he wouldn't be able to keep up and catch up with the enemy. Dupeng understood. And it seems that the enemies from that group are very persistent and ready to do anything to complete the task, and the enemies will not retreat. Dupeng thought that enemies are not scary to them, and now he is the guard of Lady Liao Yubi, so he can protect her and will never betray his best friend. Dupeng went into the coffee shop and apologized to Lady Liao Yubi, and her brother went to settle something. But now he will not leave her and will always be with her. But at that very moment, Dupeng froze in place from shock, and he expected to see anything but this, and maybe he was hallucinating and this was his fantasy. Lady Liao Yubi stands in a coffee shop with her friend in beautiful lingerie and waved to Brother Dupeng and asked the security guard to go to them there. Dupeng is amazed by the clothes of Lady Liao Yubi and her friend, and he did not even dream about it and does not believe it. And it seems he went to heaven, and this is all Du's dreams. At this time, Sita is sitting in the apartment with a colleague, and they are discussing a plan of action and have not come to terms with the fact that Lady Liao Yu is alive and she will already die. Shida is serious and his intelligence amazes others, and he will definitely come up with tactics and strategy and defeat the Liao Shang faction in the end. Sita asked his colleague how his shoulder was and hoped he was feeling better. They didn't have time to rest, and first they had to finish the important task. A colleague told Sita that he didn't think that Lady Liao Yubi's guard would risk his life for the lady in battle, and he underestimated him and paid for it. Sita will not blame his colleague for the failure and asked him if he has a plan for next time to take the life of Lady Liao Yubi without making a noise. A colleague asks Sita's brother not to worry, and everything is clear with the guard, and next time he will destroy him, and he will take revenge for the last time. A colleague told Sita that, as for that stupid youth, he would kill him. And the guard Li Dongfeng also initially thought that he could defeat the enemy. And at that very moment, someone started knocking sharply on the door, and Sita was surprised and asked who was behind the door, and Sita ordered to quickly answer his question. The man told Sita's brother that he was a Kang, and everything was under control and no one was threatening them, and he had important information for their brother Sita. Sita asks his colleague to open the door, and he then personally ordered a Kang to follow Lady Liao Yubi and find information about her location, and this is important. A Kang said good afternoon to his brother Lu Shi, and he was glad to meet him, and everything was fine in their apartment, and the friends would come up with a brilliant plan together. A Kang told brother Shita and Lu Shi today, when he was monitoring Liao Yubi, he found that the lady had another guard besides Li Dongfeng. Sita and Lu Shi are shocked by the news of their colleague, and a Kang asks to believe him, and he is 100% sure, and the lady's guard has developed perception. Akan told his friends that Lady Liao Yubi's guard was able to notice him when he was hiding, and he ran there to report the threat. And these are the facts. Lu Shi asked brother Shita if Mr. Laoshang had found a new guard for Liao Yubi and how they could approach his daughter. Liao unnoticed. Shita told Lu Shi they were trying to kill Liao Shan's daughter, and of course he would be careful, but he would find a solution, and they had to kill Lady Liao. At this time, friends are having a great time in a sweet coffee shop, and Dupan never wants to leave the coffee shop and has found his place in the world. Lady Liao Yubai was surprised and asked brother Dupeng why his nose was bleeding, and Dupeng said that he probably had heat stroke. Liao Yubi's friend pulled a handkerchief to Dupeng's brother and asked him to wipe his nose, and it seemed he was nervous. And she understood Du's brother's situation. Dupeng is in complete shock, and Lady Liao's friend has struck his mind, and he doesn't know how to tear his eyes away from her, and his wild imagination is running wild there. A friend asked Liao Yubi if she would introduce her brother Dupeng, and he is a funny person and she wants to know information about him, and she is interested. Lady Liao Yubi told her friend this is her new guard Dupeng, and he saved her from the killer yesterday, and his intuition amazes her, and his brother is so cool. A friend said Liao Yubi mentioned the incident yesterday, and she wants to know what exactly happened and why someone wanted to kill her friend. Lady Liao Yubi told her friend that perhaps her father's business enemies wanted to kill her, and that they had different interests, and that's why they had a conflict with Liao. But Lady Liao Yubi is not entirely sure why the enemies wanted to kill her, and she is obliged to sort out the complicated situation. And this is the most important thing. The friend jumped up from her seat in horror and asked Liao Yubi if Yu wasn't sure of the enemy's motive and why they threatened to kill Liao Yu. Lady Liao Yubi asks her friend to be quieter and that they are not alone in the coffee shop and that they should not attract other people's attention and that she is still in danger. A friend told Liao Yubi that this is very important, and how can she not know the reason why the bandits attacked her, and where is the logic in the judgment? Lady Liao Yubi asks her friend not to worry, and her father has already hired a new guard for her, and Dupeng is a professional and will punish anyone. Dupeng said good afternoon to his friend Liao Yubi, and the lady is not sure that Dupeng is so strong and asked Liao Yubi if he is a reliable guy. Lady Liao Yubi patted Dupeng on the shoulder and asked her friend not to worry, and that she had seen him in action and that the guard was capable of protecting him. A friend has doubts and asked Liao Yubi if Dupeng is better than Li Dongfeng's security guard, and remembers that Dongfeng is a world boxing champion. Lady Liao Yubi told her friend that she was right, and she was also curious, and she wanted to know which of the two guards was stronger. And this was a great idea. Liao Yubi said that the assassin managed to wound Li Dongfeng, and her friend asked Liao Yu to be careful with the enemy, and she does not want to lose her. Lady Liao Yubi asks her friend not to croak and everything will be fine, and she is 100% sure, and the enemies will not be able to hurt her. And Dupeng is cool. A friend told Liao Yubi that guests were waiting and she would take care of them, but her friends had to wait for her there, and she was obliged to serve the coffee shop customer. Dupeng turned around, and he was excited and didn't think that he would ever see her again, and why he was always unlucky and wanted to erase her from his life. The waitress said good afternoon to the lady and that they were glad to see her in their coffee shop today, and asked her to come to her seat and they would take her order. Dupeng was speechless. And why exactly did she come to the coffee shop? And at that moment when he was sitting there and fate was cruel and insidious, Dupeng immediately recognized the lady, and it was his ex Xia Qiuya. And was it really just a coincidence that they both visited this coffee shop at the same time? Liao Yubi's friend stood at the cash register and asked the lady what order she wanted, and they would quickly prepare any coffee for the lovely lady. Xia Qiuya asks the lady to make her a mocha without ice, and Liao Yubi's friend asks the nice lady to wait, and they will quickly make coffee. Xia Qiuya sat near the window, and Dupeng covered his face with his hand from his ex, and does not want to cross paths with her, and she betrayed him, and because of her, he was killed. Dupeng, looking at Xia Qiuya, remembered the past, and he thought Xia Qiuya was the best in the world. And then he was naive and did not think about betraying Xia. Lady Liao Yupi noticed brother Dupeng's agitation and asked what had happened to him, and asked her friend to explain his strange behavior. Dupeng coughs, won't explain the situation, and doesn't want to remember the times when he was hopelessly in love with the vile fool Xia Qiuya. Lady Liao Yubai noticed how brother Dupeng was hiding his face from the lady sitting near the window, and it seemed they were familiar, and this was intriguing. Lady Liao Yubi asked brother Dupeng if he knew the lady sitting behind them and told him not to hide the information and she would solve everything. Dupeng told Lady Liao Yubi that the lady sitting behind them is his ex, and he doesn't like to remember the past, and they broke up a long time ago. Lady Liao Yubi understood brother Dupeng's behavior and asked if they had been lovers with that lady before, and if the lady was sweet and gentle. Dupeng feels uneasy when he crosses paths with his ex, and she cheated on him during their relationship, and he thought it was real love. Lady Liao Yubai told brother Dupeng that it was terrible, and she didn't know about the stories of her brother's past love, and his ex betrayed his trust. Xia Qiuya glanced towards Du Ping and Lady Liao Yubi, and she doesn't know what these people are discussing, but that lady is talking loudly throughout the coffee shop. Du Ping is horrified and told Lady Liao Yubi his ex is looking there, and he doesn't know where to go and how to behave at such a moment, and he is confused. Lady Liao Yubi asked brother Du Peng why he was scared, and it was his ex who betrayed him and not he her. And why then Du was embarrassed by his ex. Du Peng told Lady Liao Yubi that she is 100% right, and he is so embarrassed and he really wants to forget about the relationship with his ex forever. Lady Liao Yubi told brother Du Peng that this was the exact moment when he should stand up and say good afternoon to his ex, and not be afraid of the lady. A friend approached her friends and asked Liao Yubi what he and Du Peng were chatting about, and it seemed like they were discussing intriguing events, and it was cool. Lady Liao Yubi told her friend that the lady was Du Peng's brother's ex, and she cheated on him. But Du Peng was nervous and he told Liao Yubi to shut up. Liao Yubi's friend glanced at Du Peng's ex-wife and she was sitting by the window drinking coffee, and she didn't think that this beauty was Du Peng's brother's ex-wife. The friend was very curious and asked Du Peng's brother if he wanted to take revenge on his ex for her mean act, because his brother hadn't forgotten anything. Du Peng is very nervous and asked her friend what she wants to do, and the lady asked her brother to follow her, and they will say good afternoon to the ex. But Du Peng abruptly removed his hand and asked his girlfriend to forget about it, and he doesn't want to communicate with his ex. And they broke up on bad terms. And this is true. Du Peng told his friend Liao Yubi that they had already broken up with Xia Qiuya, and he didn't want to disturb her in the coffee shop because she was sitting quietly in the corner drinking coffee. But when Du Peng didn't expect it at all, Liao Yubi's friend pushed her brother, and he was afraid in vain. And in life, you have to look your fears in the eye, and this is important. Du Peng fell on the table of Xia Qiuya, and Lady Liao Yubi and her friend are evil and insidious ladies, and they set him up and he doesn't know what to say to Xia Qiu. Du Peng looked at Xia Qiuya and said, "Good afternoon, and today the weather is nice outside, and many residents went out for a walk, and he also wants to leave." Xia Qiuya was angry and asked Du Peng if it was really him, and where did the idiot come from in the coffee shop, and she thought he never goes to such places. Du Peng turned around and waited for support from Liao Yubi and her friend, and they came up with a plan, but forgot to tell him and warn Du's brother. But Lady Liao Yubi and her friend pretend not to look at Du Peng, and he doesn't know why the ladies did this to him and set him up. Xia Qiuya is even more angry and told Du Peng to answer, and she asked why he is chasing her, and maybe he went crazy from injuries. Du Peng told Xia Qiuya he came to drink coffee. And is it strange? And why then does she react this way to his visit to the coffee shop, and it's stupid? Xia Qiuya laughs. And since when does Du Peng like coffee and can go and drink his favorite soda? And she remembers that Peng hates coffee. Du Peng is angry and there are many things that Xia Qiuya doesn't know, but she asked Du who he wants to fool and since when he goes to coffee shops. Du Peng told Xia Qiuya not to look down on people, and she is a bitch who clings to rich people, and without them, Xia Qiuya is worth nothing. Xia Qiuya is furious and asked Du Peng what he said, and the master is happy. And why Xia Qiuya is angry? And it seems because he told the truth about her. Liao Yubi's friend approached Du Peng and distracted him, and told her brother his coffee was ready. And didn't she remember how he wanted to treat her to a coffee shop? The lady hugged Du Peng and asked her to drink coffee, otherwise the coffee would get cold. And Xia Qiuya thought this lady was beautiful, and she was the owner of an elite coffee shop. The lady asked the sweet Du Peng who this lady was, and maybe she was her beloved's friend, but Du Peng said he didn't know her and was seeing her for the first time. Xia Qiuya started to get nervous, and wasn't Du Peng a loser, and no lady wanted to talk to him before, and he was a boring and stupid guy. But at that very second, Lady Liao Yubi started running towards brother Du Peng, and she was looking for him everywhere, and why didn't he warn her that he had left her? Lady Liao Yubi told brother Du Peng that the bread was already baked, and she wanted her brother to appreciate the taste of the bread, and she tried to impress her brother with the taste. Lady Liao Yubi and her friend hugged Du Peng from both sides, and they both will not abandon each other in trouble and make his ex suffer from jealousy. Xia Qiuya asked Du Peng what he was doing, and did not understand when he became popular among beautiful and young ladies, and she does not recognize the loser Du. Lady Liao Yubi brought a delicious cake for brother Du Peng, and he is kind and deserves all the best, and they are not too lazy to bring food especially for him. Du Peng's girlfriend massages his shoulders and Lady Liao Yubi feeds him cake, and they take care of Du Peng's brother and teach his ex some manners. Lady Liao Yubi told brother Du Peng to open his mouth, and she would put a piece of cake in his mouth and let him not be distracted, and brother must rest. Xia Qiuya looks at two beauties who fulfill Du Peng's wishes, and she controls herself, but soon she will start to get hysterical from anger. And at that moment, Di Feng came into the coffee shop and asked the sweet Xia Qiuya to forgive him, and he made her wait. But now they will spend time. Di Feng noticed Xia Qiuya's irritation and asked the sweet Xia Qiu what happened and wanted to know all the information, and it seemed she was not bored. Xia Qiuya asks Di Feng to look there, and she did not want to see Du Peng and dreamed that he went to the next world. but idiots often do not die. Dufeng turned around and whoever disturbed the sweet Xiaqiuya, and he will punish them and make them suffer whoever offended his lady, and he is ready to do anything for the lady. But at that very second, Difeng froze in place and was amazed and in love, and did not think that there were two beauties standing behind him and they were motivating everyone. Xiaqiuya told Difeng that meeting Dupeng was the worst thing that could happen to her, and her whole mood was ruined, and Dupeng was to blame for everything. Difeng glanced towards the two beauties and wondered if Dupeng was sitting there, and he thought he had been in heaven for a long time. But it seemed he managed to survive then. Difeng is despondent, and Dupeng ruined their date with Xiaqiuyi, and the idiot doesn't know the money he spends on Xiaqiuyi, and she doesn't argue with him, and remains silent. Xiaqiuya stood up from her seat and asked Difeng to leave from there, and the two ladies are not smart, and he is stupid if they both fell for a poor idiot like Dupeng. Xiaqiuya left the coffee shop and Difeng asks his darling not to rush and he can't keep up with her, and they, as always, will solve his darling's problems together. Difeng thought even he had never been with ladies of such level, and he would not allow Dupeng to surpass him, and he was a master of relationships with ladies. Difeng and Xiaqiuya left the coffee shop, and Dupeng is making them nervous, and they don't want to see his face and who has already let the dog into the elite coffee shop. Lady Liao Yubi and her friends started laughing, and they found it funny, and Xiaqiuya almost exploded from envy and jealousy, and the ladies' reaction was a masterpiece. Dupeng smiled and said thank you to the two nice ladies, and they helped him a lot. And his brother doesn't think that they will teach the impudent Xiaqiuya a lesson in the cafe. A friend told brother Dupeng that this is how one should treat ladies like Xiaqiuya, and there is no need to thank her, and he needs to protect Lady Liao Yubi. Difeng called the guards and asked his friends to wait there, and as soon as Dupeng came out of the coffee shop, beat him to death and he enraged his lady. A friend asked Dupeng not to worry, and not to take the behavior of people like Xiaqiuya to heart, as they can no longer be corrected. Dupeng told his friend that he wasn't worried and was just upset, and that he shouldn't have gone to his ex and said good afternoon and that Xiaqiu was an uncultured woman. A friend asked Dupeng what he was sad about, and they took revenge on his ex, and besides, he has Liao Yubi, and he is the luckiest of all. Liao Yubi asked her friend what she was talking about, and she was ashamed of her friend's words, and she and Dupeng do not like each other, and they have a true friendship. A friend told Liao Yubi that she thinks Dupeng is very handsome and she shouldn't reject him, and maybe one day they will become a beautiful couple. And at that moment, Lady Liao Yubi's phone rang, and Dupeng was glad and he wanted to get away from this topic, and his friend was embarrassing him. And Lady Liao Yubi answered the call, and she knew her friend would say something that would surprise the guard Dupeng, and why she was doing this to her friends. Lady Liao Yubi was shocked by the news and told her colleague that she would come immediately without wasting any time, and the guard Dupeng asked what happened there. Lady Liao Yubi told brother Dupeng that guard Li Dongfeng had recently woken up and she was happy and believed their friend would recover from all injuries. A friend told Liao Yubi that she would go with them and wanted to make sure that the guard Li Dongfeng recovered from his injuries and long fight for his life. The coffee shop director told the administrator that she needed to delete the cases and that she was leaving the coffee shop in her hands and that she should call the boss in case of any embarrassment. Lady Liao Yubi opened the door, and she hoped that the guard Li Dongfeng had gained strength and energy, and they would take revenge on their friend, and the enemy would be very sorry. And at that very moment, Difeng's people stood in front of Lady Liao Yubi, and he was waiting for them there, and he would not leave the scoundrel Dupeng alone, and he was asking for it. Lady Liao Yubi is horrified by the hooligans and why they surrounded her friends and seem to be serious, and various adventures await them everywhere. Dupeng told Difeng it was him, and he had been waiting for this moment for a long time and was glad that he himself had come to the meeting, and he would beat the enemy and take revenge on him for their sins. Difeng told the hooligans that this was the same scoundrel Dupeng and ordered them to beat the bastard, and that he insulted his sweet Xiaqiuya, and he will not forgive the bastard. Dupeng asks Lady Liao Yubi and her friend to step back, and he is worried about them and they may get injured for nothing, and he will teach the enemies a lesson. Lady Liao Yubi is nervous and begs brother Dupeng to be careful in the battle there, because there are a lot of hooligans and they have weapons and it is so dangerous there. Dupeng told Lady Liao Yubi not to worry, and everything was under control and he was 100% confident in himself. Otherwise, he would not have fought with the enemies. The bully swung his arm and said to Dupeng that today was not his day, and that he should have disobeyed boss Difeng, and that no one would save him in this situation. But at the same moment, having hit his opponent, the bully froze in place and he thought he had enough strength to punish his opponent. But it seems he underestimated his strength. When no one expected it, Dupeng grabbed the bully's hand and easily defended himself from the enemy's powerful blow and will not make a mistake in a fight, and this is true. Dupeng told the bully that he was not the same Dupeng that he was before and that they would not be able to beat him up like last time, and asked him to evaluate his skills. Dupan continues to hold the bully's hand and will not let go until he learns his lesson, and often bullies do not change and enemies have no intelligence. The bully is in complete shock. And when Dupan became so strong and he can't hit him, and the power in his hands is frightening, and before Pan was weak, Dufeng asked the hooligans what they were waiting for and ordered them to beat Dupeng, and that he was not worthy of remaining in one piece after his insolent behavior, and that he was infuriating them. The hooligans decided to attack the opponent together, and then Dupen would definitely not be able to repel all their attacks and they would confuse him. And this is the idea. And at that very moment, two hooligans walked towards Dupen, and the opponent would not parry the blows with the bat, and he would beg for mercy, and they didn't care. Lady Liao Yub asks, "Brother Dupeng to be careful, and two enemies are coming towards him and they are serious and want to harm his brother." Dupen turned around and noticed two opponents behind him, and they are on another level of cunning and want to catch him off guard and attack from behind. Dupen smiled, and he is afraid of vile hooligans because they are cowards and may not try to outsmart him, and he already knows all their plans. The bully struck a furious blow, but Dupen grabbed his hand again, and he got tired of telling the bullies that it was useless for them to attack Master Dusa. Dupen responded to the bully's attack by striking his own blow and teaching the enemy how to strike correctly to make the opponent afraid, and they did not learn the lesson. The bully flew back a couple of meters and crashed into his colleagues, and it seems Dupen has no weaknesses, and the master predicts all the opponent's attacks. Dupeng defeated all the hooligans, and Difeng saw his skills in person, and soon the same fate awaits him as his colleagues, and they infuriate him and threaten him. Difeng is at a loss. And when Dupeng became so strong, and the idiot really has no weaknesses, and he repelled all the attacks of the hooligans in an instant. Dupeng is serious and looked straight into the eyes of the enemy, and Difeng will not hide anywhere, and he himself has driven himself into a corner and will be punished for his sins. Difeng is very afraid and asked Dupeng what he was doing and told the bastard not to approach him, otherwise there would be problems, and he has other connections. Dupeng asked Difeng where his program was and ordered him to answer his question or experience the master's wrath on himself. And he was not joking, and it was true. Difeng is shaking and asks Dupeng what kind of program this is, and he doesn't know anything, and begs his opponent to believe him, and he didn't want to harm his friend. Dupeng grabbed Difeng by the scruff of the neck and told him to stop pretending, and that he had to return his program, and that he was waiting for an explanation from the idiot. Lady Liao Yub noticed an important detail, and Brother Dupeng has already lost concentration and his friend has no control over what is happening on the territory. Lady Liao Yub shouted to Brother Dupeng, and there was an opponent behind him who wanted to destroy Dupeng, and fortunately Master Du was distracted by Difeng. The enemy struck Master Dupeng on the shoulder from behind, and Du did not expect that there were still enemies left, and they eventually managed to catch him off guard in battle. Dupeng fell to his knees, and the bully told the boss they should leave while they had a chance, and he immobilized the opponent for a while and saved the boss. Difeng began to quickly leave, and after the incident they are obliged to quickly hide, and the police will start looking for the culprits, and they will be in danger. Lady Liao Yub is worried about Dupeng's brother and asked if everything is okay, and he received a powerful blow from an opponent with a bat, and he must rest. After these events, Dupeng and Lady Liao Yub came to her mansion, and Liao treated her friend's wounds, and brother received many injuries and bruises. Lady Liao Yub asked Brother Dupeng how he was feeling. But Dupeng told her not to be nervous, and that the wound was not serious, and that he was being careful. Lady Liao Yub told Brother Dupeng that he needed to rest there now, and she would visit the guard Li Dongfeng together with Ming Jie, and everything was decided. But Dupeng jumped up from his seat and told Lady Liao Yub that he would go with them and could not leave her alone, with enemies and hooligans hunting her everywhere. But Lady Liao Yub asks Dupeng not to worry, and the hospital is close and nothing will happen to her. And Brother Peng must gain strength and energy. Dupeng agrees with Lady Liao Yub and only asks her and Mengjai to be careful, and the Liao family is in danger everywhere, and he is not joking. Lady Liao Yub will go and said goodbye to Brother Dupeng, and they will see him there soon, and she will not abandon her brother in trouble and will save the guard herself. Dupan understands that even though muscles improve strength and fighting skills, he is still weak and lacks experience in fighting the enemy. Dupan sits in thought, and he risks his life every time he fights with enemies and is obliged to improve all his skills in the future for the sake of the lady. Dupeng decided to complete more missions and noticed one mission in the system, and the boss had to win the heart of Ranwang Yue. Dupeng remembered, and he had not yet completed this mission and forgot about Ranwang Yue, and he promised to help her in any situation and would not abandon her in trouble. Dupeng came to the slum area, and the boss wants to visit Ranwang Yue and her lovely brothers and sisters and hopes they are doing well these days. Dupeng entered the abandoned apartment and did not notice Ranwang Yue and the children there, and it seems they are not there, and where could they have gone, and he will find everyone. Du Peng saw the stairs, and maybe Ran Wangyue and the children upstairs and friends are hiding from prying eyes because it is difficult for them to get food and they feel sorry for them. Du Peng went to the top floor and wants to visit Ran Wangyue, but she is hiding. And where are the other children? There is no trace of them, but he is looking for a friend. And at that moment, Ran Wangyue opened the curtains and wanted to check who came to her, and she changed clothes and thought it was the children and not brother Du Peng. Du Peng and Ran Wangyue froze in place and they were shocked by the sight. And he will never forget this incident, and Ran Wangyue's figure is already perfect. Ran Wangyue closed the curtains in a panic and asked Du Peng where he came from and whether she wasn't expecting guests and why he didn't warn her about the visit. Du Peng apologizes to Ran Wangyue, and he didn't know that she was there and he looked for her everywhere, but she didn't respond to his call and he came to his friend. Ran Wangyue told brother Du Peng to go away and not stare when she was changing clothes, and soon she would come out to him and they would discuss all the details. Du Peng agreed with Ran Wangyue and went to another room, and he definitely would not disturb Ran Wangyue and saw how embarrassed she was when she noticed him. 5 minutes later, Ran Wangyue approached brother Du Peng in a beautiful and cute dress, and she did not want there to be an embarrassment and the lady to be ashamed. Du Peng told Ran Wangyue that she looks very pretty when she doesn't wear her torn clothes, and appearance changes a lot in a person. Ran Wangyue was angry and asked brother Du Peng what he said, and who was wearing torn clothes and why his brother came to their house and what he wanted to discuss. Du Peng told Ran Wangyue that he came to see the children and where they are. He calls them everywhere, but no one answered, and they know that he is not an enemy. Ran Wangyue realized that brother Du Peng did not come for her sake and told her friend that he is indeed a very kind person and that she and the children appreciate his care. Du Peng told Ran Wangyue that she is much kinder and always takes care of the children. And Ran Wangyue told her brother that the children are so unhappy, and it is a pity for them. Du Peng asked Ran Wangyue if she could tell him how to help them, and he wants to provide them with everything so that they do not need anything. Ran Wangyue told brother Du Peng that she would answer that these homeless children live not far from there, and in their first meeting the children were looking for food in the trash. Du Peng listened to Ran Wangyue's story, and after that incident, she took in homeless children because they had nowhere to go and no one would help them. Ran Wangyue told brother Du Peng that he was absolutely right, and there were 3 children, and he saw 2 of them, but one of the orphans had some problems and she was sick. Du Peng is worried about that orphan and asked Ran Wangyue what was wrong with that one of the 3 children, and it seems she has serious problems since she is worried. Ran Wangyue wanted to tell brother Du Peng about the problems with the orphan, but it is difficult for her to tell others about this, and this is her personal business and she will save. Ran Wangyue asks her brother Du Peng to forget about it, and she will decide for herself, and there is no need to be nervous because of one unknown orphan and her brother is so busy. But Du Peng gently stroked Ran Wangyue's hands, and he never tired of repeating that he cares about the orphans and his friend, and he will still help them. Du Peng told Ran Wangyue recently that she called him very kind, and he sees no reason to refuse his help and let him say everything. Ran Wangyue learned the character of brother Du Peng, and he does not lie. And her brother is 100% ready to help without selfish motives, and she respects her brother. Ran Wangyue said that the orphan is sick, and the treatment is expensive, and the sister is trying her best to earn money to pay for the treatment, and this is a disaster. Du Peng asks Ran Wangyue not to cry, and suggested that they go together and visit the orphan, and they will definitely find a way to cure his sister. The artifact system informed Master Du Peng that he had completed the first part of the mission and was obliged to complete it and save the poor orphan. Ran Wangyue agrees with brother Du Peng, and they will quickly go to the hospital together and visit the kindest lady, and she is the best in the world. Du Peng and Ran Wangyue began to leave the apartment, and Du Peng is glad that his sister trusts him, and that he is not a mean person and is obliged to save the orphan. Du Peng asked Xiao Yu what the first part of the mission meant, and she immediately said that some missions in the system consist of several stages. Xiao Yu said that for each stage the system gives its own reward, and the master completed the first part and received 5 artifact points, and he is a genius. Du Peng was disappointed and asked Xiao Yu's assistant if the artifact system only gave the master 5 points and she didn't respect his work. Xiao Yu asks Master Du Peng not to be greedy, and as soon as he completes the remaining parts of the mission, he will receive more rewards and the system will not offend him. Du Peng is despondent and the artifact system doesn't make concessions to the master, and why can't more points be given, since the boss helps orphans? Friends stood at the entrance to the hospital. Li Tian and Ran Wangyue told Du Peng they had come, and in this hospital lies a person dear to her and an angel. Ran Wangyue told Du Peng that this lady's name is Xiaoman, and she took care of those 2 children before she met them, and Xiaoman is the kindest of all. Xiaoman lies unconscious, and Ran Wangyue prays every day and believes that her sister will recover and there is always hope for a cure. Du Peng asked Ran Wangyue what her illness was. And Ran Wang was not sure and did not understand the doctor's words, and that she knew her illness was difficult to cure. Ran Wang Yue told Brother Dupeng that the hospital charges a fee every day for Xiaoman's stay there, and she has to find a lot of money. Xiaoman woke up and told her sister Ran Wang Yue that she had come and that she missed her so much and that she felt calmer with her sister and that she motivated her. Ran Wang Yue asked Xiaoman's sister if she was interested in finding out who it was, and that it was her first time seeing this person, and if her sister had any idea. And then suddenly Xiaoman asked Ran Wang Yue if this guy was her boyfriend, and they were a great couple and suited each other perfectly. Ran Wang Yue told her sister Xiaoman is just a very kind brother and asked her sister not to make up anything unnecessary, and Dupeng is just a friend. Xiaoman told Ran Wang Yue that only good people have a chance to walk with her, and that her sister has a pure soul, and that she will be lucky someday in her life, and that's a fact. Ran Wang Yue told Xiaoman that she needs to rest and gain energy, and if Xiaoman gets better, she will be in the mood to look for a boyfriend. Xiaoman told her sister Ran Wang Yue that she would do everything possible to overcome the illness so that Ran Wang Yue could find her happiness, and that was important. And at that moment, someone started knocking loudly on the door, and Dupin doesn't even know who is making the noise and why they are disturbing the patients. And it's terrible. The nurse came into the room and told Ran Wang Yue it was time to pay for Xiaoman, and the money from last time was already gone, or they would evict the lady. Ran Wang Yak told the nurse that she could pay in 2 days and hoped they could find a compromise and that her friend needed treatment there. But the nurse told Ran Wang Yue if they don't pay, they will have to leave, and other people also need a place in the hospital, and she is serious. But Ran Wang Yue told the nurse that her sister Xiaoman was unable to stand up and that she would not recover if they looked for another hospital. The nurse asks Ran Wang Yue not to play on her pity, and if they can't pay, let them leave the hospital and no one will help with the treatment. Dupin is serious and told the nurse that they clearly can't do this, and why can't they find a compromise since the lady is so sick. The nurse asked the guy who he was and why he was arguing with his elders, and that he didn't know the hospital rules and that they were obliged to kick him out, and that was the law. The guy told the nurse that he was Xiaoman's friend, and his name was Dupeng, and he wanted to ask if they could pay in 2 days, and he guaranteed it. The nurse told Xiaoman's friend Dupeng to pack her things and get out of the hospital, and no one would wait for 2 days and kick the children out. Dupeng asked the nurse why she was doing this and why they did not value the life of another person at all, and how he could convince these people. The nurse asked Dupeng why he wanted to impress Xiaoman, and she knew he had no money and was a poor idiot, and was wasting his time trying to become a hero. Dupeng is angry at the selfish nurse, and asked the lady who said he had no money and why she makes conclusions based on appearance. The nurse doesn't want to waste time, and if there is money, she asks to pay, but if not, she leaves the hospital and no one will save her for free. Dupin is furious with the nurse's behavior and wants to tell her everything to her face, and how she can behave like that with patients, and he will teach her a lesson. The nurse slammed the door shut, and she won't feel sorry for the children, and they have the same powers as adults, and there's no need to feel sorry for the children. Dupeng is very angry and asked what is wrong with the nurse. And Ran Wang Yue does not let go of her brother and asks him to calm down and not be angry with this nurse. Dupeng asked sister Ran Wang Yue why there were such uncultured nurses working in hospitals and whether a complaint should be filed against the vile ladies. Ran Wang Yak told her brother Dupeng that it seemed like she had to take her sister Xiaoman back, and Dupeng asked her sister what the daily wage was. Ran Wang Yue told brother Dupeng that she had to pay 500 for every day in the hospital, so she tried to find money for Xiaoman. Dupeng is in complete shock, and 500 for a day in the hospital is expensive, and he didn't think that hospitals have expensive rates, and this is clearly excessive and absurd. Xiaoman called her sister Ran Wang Yue and wants to discuss important details, and she is in vain putting pressure on her sister, and because of her, they are suffering, and she is sorry for everything. Xiaoman suggested that sister Ran Wang Yue return, and in any case, she will never recover from her illness, and there is no point in staying in the hospital. Ran Wang Yue began to cry, and she felt sorry that she could not give her friend a better life and she was suffering. But Ran Wang Yue could not help in any way. Dupeng learned that Ran Wang Yue and Xiaoman are very close, and she will never abandon her friend in trouble, and will be with her until the end of her life, and he is touched. Dupeng is angry, and he wants to change the system in the hospital and why they throw those who don't have money out on the street and they don't care about the sick. Dupeng told Ran Wang Yue that he would find a solution, and Xiaoman didn't need to be so nervous and asked his sister to believe, and she would overcome the illness in a moment. Ran Wang Yue told her brother Dupeng that he was just a security guard, and that once her brother paid for the treatment, she would no longer burden her friend with problems. Dupeng told sister Ran Wang Yue that he is not a guard but a bodyguard, and he protects one person, and Lady Liao Yubi is always protected. Ran Wang Yue told her brother Dupeng that it didn't make much of a difference and she would think of something herself and that her brother was poor. But Du asked who said that his friend was poor. Ran Wang Yui told brother Du Ping that it is obvious that he is not rich and he has helped them so many times, and thank you for his kindness, and he is the best. Du Peng is looking for money in his pocket, and Ran Wang Yue has already made a mistake. And you can never judge a person's financial situation by their appearance. Du Peng took out the money from his pocket and put it down, and the master will complete the mission of the artifact system and correct the situation of Ran Wang Yue's sister. Du Peng told Ran Wang Yue, "There is 1,000 wen," and asks her to spend the money to keep Xiaoman in the hospital, and he will come up with something, and that is a fact. Du Peng closed the door and left the room, and he is not lying, and will immediately start looking for money, and Xiaoman should believe him, and he will not abandon her in trouble. Ran Wang Yue told brother Du Peng that he is too kind and thank him for everything, and she will return everything, and they are not close people, but he is still there. Du Peng doesn't know how to make money, and he can't ask Lady Liao Yubi for an advance again, and recently works as a security guard for Liao Yu's family. Xiao Yu's assistant asked Master Du Peng why he didn't think and why he needed the artifact system, and it would help Du earn money. Du Peng thought about it, but the artifact system can't help the boss make money, but he won't give up, and he changed 100%. And at that very moment, Master Du Peng froze in place and realized that he already had the skill of sharpening, and his intelligence was amazing, and he came up with a plan. The presenter said good afternoon to the people, and every customer who spent more than $100 could take part in the egg-breaking contest. The presenter told people the main prize was $50,000 in cash, and for second place a massage chair worth $30,000. The presenter asked people not to miss the chance and try their luck, and no one knows. Maybe they are the chosen ones and will go home taking $50,000. Du Peng is happy, and he found a way to quickly find money and skills that will save the life of his friend Xiaoman this time and will show a masterclass. Du Peng said good afternoon to the seller, and he wanted to buy a t-shirt. And at that moment, he didn't have to think about the style of clothing, and he bought anything. Du Peng asked the seller if he could now break the egg, and he knew the rules and spent that many dollars, as the presenter said. And that's a fact. The salesman smiled and told Mr. Du Peng that of course he could already participate in the competition, and that he had spent exactly $100 for the game. Du Peng is so happy and went towards holding the competition, and fate does not want Xiaoman to die, and he will save her life and give the lady money. The seller wondered if Du Peng was a complete idiot and had come only to break an egg and thought he would just get a prize for it. The presenter told people they could crack an egg after they showed her the receipt, and everyone had one try at a special game. The old man handed the presenter a receipt and asked to give him a chance, and he really wants to break the egg, and the presenter asked the mister to choose any egg. There are a lot of eggs, and one of them has luck, and whoever finds the special egg will receive 50,000, and the old man believes in luck and is ready to play there. The old man took a hammer and went to break an egg, and the organizers will definitely not deceive him, and he is lucky in life and will take first place in a minute. The old man chose one of the eggs, and he trusts his intuition and could not just make a mistake, and today he must break a special egg, and he is the champion. The old man swung his arm and hit the egg, and people were curious to know which egg the old man had chosen, and he bragged and said that he was unique and a genius. But the old man broke an empty egg and will not receive a prize, and he does not know how it happened, and his intuition failed him, and he disgraced himself in front of people. The presenter told the mister that she was sorry and that the egg was empty, and the old man could now choose a prize for the loser, and that next time he would win the award. People asked the presenter how they could know that there is something in the eggs, and what if they are all empty and they are scammers and all people don't believe. The presenter asked people not to worry, and she assures that this is not a scam, and there are prizes in these eggs, and she guarantees people that their game is fair. Du Peng is amazed by the beauty of the host, and she drives any guy crazy, and it's not for nothing that the organizers found a beauty to host the game, and she's a miracle. The presenter told people whoever breaks the special egg first will win a prize, and the conditions are the same, and they can continue playing, and they are interested. Du Peng asked the host what would happen if they found the main prize, and he was intrigued by some of the nuances and therefore asked about it. The host said the egg with the main prize contains golden petals, and second place has silver petals, and she is ready to answer any questions. Du Peng understood the rules of the game and told the host that he was next and wanted to try his luck. And since childhood, he had often played such games and had experience. The seller noticed Du Peng, and he actually went out to break the egg. And young men are so stupid and naive now, and it's a pity he won't win anything. The presenter asks Mr. Du Peng to choose any egg, and she believes that Mr. Du Peng will be able to take the prize and is able to take 50,000. Du Peng told the host that he can't choose his egg, or it seems he misunderstood Mrs. Words and wants her to explain the aspects. The presenter told Mr. Du Peng that we are talking about golden eggs, and that he is wrong to think about uncivilized things, and ordered him not to delay other people. Du Peng smiled and began to use the skill keen eye and searched among all the eggs for a special one that would allow the boss to win 50,000. Du Peng found a special egg, and the organizers made a mistake by letting him into the game, and he won't give the prize to anyone, and Xiaoman needs 50,000. The presenter handed Mr. Dupan a hammer and told him to break an egg, and people were curious to know which egg Dupan would choose, and they were all waiting. Dupan was speechless and realized he shouldn't have looked at the lady there with his keen eye skill and saw what was inside the clothes. The presenter noticed Mr. Dupan's nervousness and asked if he was okay, and that he seemed to be worried about the game. But there was no point in wasting his nerves. Dupan turned away from the host and told the nice lady that everything was fine and she was absolutely right, and he was nervous about the game and wanted to take the prize. Dupan looked at the eggs with his keen eye, and the presenter wasn't lying to them. So many eggs were empty and the organizers had already calculated all the risks in advance. Dupan continues to study inside the eggs and tries his best and will never forget about Xiaoman, and his friend will soon get a lot of money. And after a couple of minutes, Dupan found a special golden egg, and his artifact system did not fail him, and he can trust it in such moments. Dupan is so happy, and all he has to do is break the egg and without wasting any time, take the prize, and who would have thought that he would find 50,000 in a day? The presenter asks Mr. Dupan to choose any egg he likes, and there is always a chance of success, and she will root for Mr. Dupan told the presenter that he chooses this egg and no one will interfere. And he found the treasure, and the artifact system is incomparable and he loves it. Dupan smashed the egg into pieces, and it turned out to be golden. And Dupan had no doubt that the keen eye skill would work 1,000%. When Dupan cracked the special egg, petals fell out and they were golden, which meant Dupan took first place and guessed the egg correctly. The presenter was speechless from the luck of Mr. Dupan, and she never expected that he would be so lucky, and how he found a special egg out of hundreds of such. The seller is completely shocked by the idiot's luck, and he was absolutely sure that Dupan would lose, and not a single person has ever been able to take their prize. The presenter congratulated Mr. Dupan, and he won the main prize, and many doubted that he would find the golden egg. But he amazed everyone. The audience applauds Dupan, and he is lucky, and he got lucky, and he chose a special egg from hundreds of options. With his luck, he needs to go to the casino. Dupan thanked the people, and he felt their support and believes that they too will be lucky at some point, and one must always believe in miracles and luck. The host told Master Dupan to follow their man to collect the prize, and good job, and they will invite him to other games, and he will surprise them again. But suddenly, at that very moment, someone told Dupan to stand, and suspected the organizers hired Dupan to prevent them from winning the prize. The old man told the host and organizers that they are scammers, and this game and competitions are a scam, and asks friends and colleagues not to trust vile people. The host told the gentleman that he cannot accuse them in the sphere without evidence, and that it seems he is jealous of Dupan, and that the guest should keep his opinion to himself. The old man was furious and said he had evidence and he would prove that they were all swindlers, and knew Dupan, and had set it up in advance and that it was an illusion. The host and Dupan started walking towards the disgruntled old man, who was raving and needed to politely explain to the guest that he was mistaken and lying. The presenter asked the old man what he was talking about and asked him not to talk nonsense and what evidence he had, and he made it all up and did not come to terms with the champion Du. The old man swears at the presenter and accuses her of knowing Dupan and being her boyfriend and helping them cheat. And he figured out their plan. But at that very second, the presenter slapped the scoundrel, and she clearly no longer intends to put up with his accusations. And it was in vain that he was shouting at them there. The old man froze in place, and at first he did not understand what had happened and felt pain in his face. And it seemed like the lady had hit the guest in the face and caught him off guard. The old man swung and asked the presenter how she dared to hit him, and he would punish her for the vile blow, and she would feel everything on herself, and this is the goal. The presenter closed her eyes, and she would not have time to defend herself from the old man's blow and moved to a safe distance. And in vain, she came close to the old man. But Dupan managed to deftly grab the old man's hand and did not allow him to harm the presenter there. And a gentleman will never hit a nice lady. Dupan hit the old man's hand and told him to get lost, and how dare he attack the presenter, and no one is interested in his stupid guesses anymore. The old man asked Dupan if he was still denying that it was a scam, and that the presenter was involved with him in the scam and blatant lies in their game. Dupan told the old man that it was not the case and that he simply hated to watch others beat up ladies, and so he took action, and that was true. The old man is furious and yells at the presenter and orders the boss to be called, saying he wants to discuss everything with him and is tired of arguing with the idiots in the room. The host asks people for forgiveness, and they will stop the competition and are obliged to sort out the situation and prove to the guest that he is wrong there. But the presenter begs people to believe them, and they did not deceive them, and all the prizes are really in eggs, and she does not know why the old man got mad. The presenter told people that they did not choose the winner with bias, and did not want to deprive others of the chance to win, and Dupan is clearly not her boyfriend. The ladies are discussing how they can know that the presenter is not lying, and they came to the conclusion that even if she is telling the truth, the main prize is gone. The organizer of the competition approached the host Jidan and asked what all the noise and chaos people were making and what was going on. but he didn't understand anything. Jidan told the organizer of the competition that Dupeng won the main prize fairly. But the old man thinks they are scammers, and the old man has already lost. The organizer of the competition started looking for something in his pocket, and he told Jidan that he understood the situation and would give the lucky winner a prize. And there was no need to fight there. The organizer of the competition handed Dupeng a check and said to the gentleman, "Here is his prize and thank you for taking part in the competition, and they will be waiting for him." Dupeng said a huge thank you to the organizer of the competition, and he still can't believe his luck, and Master Du really needed the money. But when no one expected this, the organizer of the competition told the sweet Jidan that she was fired and ordered her to vacate the place quickly and hand over her things. Jidan froze in place and was in complete shock from the words of the organizer and why the boss fired her. And she was not to blame for the conflict and set her up. Jidan asked the competition organizer why he fired her and whether he was obliged to explain his point of view and was ready for other punishments. The organizer of the competition told Jidan that they didn't need her anymore, and the boss thought she let Du win and he lost 50,000. But the host Jidan demands an explanation from the organizer of the competition, and you can't just fire people and she will argue with the boss there. The organizer of the competition asked the presenter Jidan why he was obliged to explain the reason for her dismissal and told the fool to get out of there quickly. The host Jidan is morally broken and she does not believe that she was fired in an instant without being given an explanation, and that the organizer of the competition is a vile coward. Dupeng asked the host Jidan if she was okay, and he knew how unpleasant it was when the director fired her in front of everyone. Host Jidan didn't answer Mr. Dupeng's question and walked away, saying she wants to be alone and realize what happened. And it's terrible. Dupeng doesn't care, and he received $50,000 and the rest doesn't matter. And the main thing is to give money for the treatment of poor Xiaoman. But at that very moment, Dupeng became very scared, and the artifact system appeared in front of the boss and wanted to tell the master important information. Dupeng received a new mission from the artifact system called the History of Jidan, and he will study the mission in detail and what the meaning of the mission is. Dupeng was surprised, and did he really have to get a kiss? And what kind of mission is this? And the artifact system sometimes amazes him by finding these missions. Mission details. Understand Jidan's story and become her friend to help her overcome her despair, and get a kiss from her. And this is the boss's goal. Dupeng learned that the mission reward is 50 points, which is already excellent. And Xiao Yu told Dupeng that the mission is given based on the owner's character. Dupeng understood the hint and sarcasm of Xiao Yu's assistant and asked if she seemed to want to say that he was a pervert, and Xiao Yu did not hide it from Du. Xiao Yu's assistant showed Master Dupeng past incidents in his life when his character showed itself and let him accept everything. At this time, the host Jidan was walking down the street in dejection, and assistant Xiao Yu suggested that Master Dupeng should first catch up with Jidan quickly. Thunderstorms and lightning are raging in the sky and the weather has changed dramatically, and it seems even the heavens have sensed Jidan's sadness, and she doesn't understand where the logic is. It started raining, and the host Jidan has no purpose in life and she doesn't want to look for a new job. And why did the organizer treat her like that? The host. Jidan looks at the sky and she has lost the meaning of life and she doesn't like anything, and every drop of rain hurts her soul, and this is depression. The presenter Jidan took an umbrella and she would get wet if she didn't stand under the umbrella. But she turned around and someone was following her. But the lady was in no mood. Dupeng covered the host Jidan with his umbrella, and she will get sick if she stands in the rain for a long time, and she needs to take care of herself, and this is so important. Host Jidan thanked Dupeng for taking care of the stranger, and she didn't forget the winner of the competition, and Dupeng found the golden egg. Dupeng looked away from Jidan's body and said that her clothes were wet, and she would get sick if she didn't change her clothes in time, and he was worried about the lady. Host Jidan noticed her clothes, and Dupeng's friend is 100% right, and her clothes are wet and she wants to go home. Dupeng asks Jidan to let him walk her home, and he doesn't mind walking in the rain, and their walk has a unique atmosphere. Host Jidan said thank you to her friend Dupeng, and that he is kind. And she noticed this character trait, and her friend Peng is ready to help strangers. Dupeng walked Jidan home, and the presenter thanked her friend, and with him, she got home much faster and more cheerfully. Host Jidan asks her friend Dupeng to wait for her there. But she wants to take a shower and freshen up after a busy day, and this is so important. But Dupeng told Jidan that his friend was waiting for him in the hospital, and he had to go, and without his support it would be difficult for his friend to cope, and asked him to understand. Jidan then just told her friend Dupeng how to contact him, and she doesn't want to lose touch with her friend, and he was there in difficult times. Dupeng told Jidan that she could add him on Messenger, and he would write her messages and they could both see each other at their convenience. Dupeng left Jidan's apartment, and now the boss can complete this mission at his own pace and will soon receive artifact system points. At that time, the nurse left the hospital with a guy, and she was so happy and everything in her life was good and she didn't need any changes in her perfect life. Dupeng recognized the nurse, And this is the vile lady who tried to kick Xiaoman out of the hospital, and do think such people have no conscience and heart. Dupen turned around and noticed a beautiful lady behind him, and he already had a plan, and he would implement his idea and teach the nurse a lesson for all her sins. Dupen smiled, and the master was in a great mood, and he dreamed so much that he had a chance to take revenge on the nurse, and the boss would not spare the fool. Dupen approached the lady and asked if she could do him a favor, and he would explain his plan to her and hoped the lady would understand, and this was so important. The lady looks at Dupen with doubt, and she does not want to get involved in his games, and a friend should sort out his own situations and not involve her. But when the lady did not expect this, Dupen handed her the money, and if she helps, he will immediately give her the money and guarantees the lady this. The boyfriend noticed that something was wrong with his girlfriend today, and it looks like she had a hard day at work and is helping patients at the hospital. The boyfriend asked his beloved why she was sad, and maybe he could cheer her up by finding out the reason for her upset and protect the lady. The nurse told her boyfriend that she had a patient recently, and he didn't want to pay or leave and made her nervous and argue. My boyfriend told my sweetheart that it's the hospital's job to solve these problems, but the nurse just hates people like that and they're annoying. And that's the fact. And at that moment, Dupan's new acquaintance began to slowly approach the nurse and her boyfriend. And Brother Pan explained the plan in a radical way. The nurse asked the stranger who she was and why her aura frightened them so much and whether she had good intentions and why she was silently looking at them. But when the nurse didn't expect this at all, the stranger asked her boyfriend how he dared to cheat on her and began to cry and get hysterical. And at that moment, the lady hit her boyfriend in the face and she will not forgive him. And how could her beloved betray her, and betrayal hits the heart and hurts the soul? The lady hit her boyfriend and left. And the nurse looks at the guy with distrust and wants to know the answers to her questions. And she didn't know that he was a womanizer. The nurse asked her boyfriend who this lady was. And it seemed he loved her, and that's why the lady left and her boyfriend was cheating on her. And she didn't know he was a coward. The guy was in complete shock and told the nurse that he doesn't know anything and just asked to let him explain everything and that he loves her and no one else. But at that very second, the nurse hit the boyfriend in the face again, and he missed the detail and doesn't know why the ladies are hitting him and what he's guilty of. The boyfriend fell to the ground and it looks like he's hallucinating, and the nurse doesn't believe his words, but he never lied to her and always loved one. Dupan is standing around the corner and he's laughing at the absurdity of the situation, and the nurse got what she deserved. But he feels sorry for her boyfriend and he's not guilty of the crime. After the incident, Dupeng went to the hospital and paid for Xiaoman from Ward 81 and hoped they wouldn't kick his girlfriend out. Dupeng decided to visit Xiaoman, and next to her sits Ran Wang Yue, and she does not leave her best friend for a second and helps in everything there. Ran Wang Yue is glad that brother Dupeng has returned, and they are bored without her brother. And his stories will lift Xiaoman's spirits, and she will be distracted from her troubles. Dupeng said he paid 10,000 for Xiaoman, and this money will last them for some time, and Ran Wang Yue can continue to help. Ran Wang Yue is in complete shock and told her brother Dupeng thank you for everything. But where did he find so much money? But her friend asks Ran Wang not to think about it. But at that very moment, Dupan froze in place and he received information from the artifact system and is obliged to find out what is with the mission, and this intrigues him. The artifact system reported a difficult mission and notified the boss that he had successfully cleared Ran Wang Yu of her problems and would receive a reward. Dupan doesn't understand what's going on, and the artifact system hasn't been studied yet, and it has a lot of data that the boss doesn't know about, and that's a fact. Dupeng decided to pay attention to the artifact system while Ran Wang Yue and Xiaoman were distracted and not looking at him. And this was a chance to learn everything. The artifact system gave Dupan a reward for the successful mission, and he received 20 artifact points and 1 yellow key for the task. Dupan sighed, and finally this mission is completed, and the boss did not expect to receive a yellow key, but he does not have a yellow chest and where to get it. Dupan thinks he should first get a reward for the mission, and he is so interested in what the new task he received from the artifact will be. The artifact system informed Master Dupeng of an A-class mission, and he is required to conquer He Tianye and then receive system points for the task. Dupeng noticed how Ran Wang Yue was talking to Xiaoman and not looking at him, and this was his chance to quietly leave both of his friends and get down to business. Dupeng left the room and told Ran Wang Yue that he needed to go to the toilet and that he would be back soon, and they would discuss all the matters, and asked her to wait for him. Dupeng went to the toilet, and someone was standing behind him and watching. But Pen didn't see the stranger, and he was busy with the artifact system and studying the cases. Xiaoyu's assistant said the mission is an A-class mission, a high-ranking mission, and the task promises to be difficult, but their reward will be fantastic. Dupeng decided to personally look into the artifact system, and he no longer believes many of the words of Xiaoyu's assistant, and she often lies to him and irritates the boss. Dupeng wants to look at the mission log, and the master remembers a couple of minutes ago the artifact system gave a new task, and he will study everything in a moment. Dupeng was confused and asked Xiaoyu's assistant what the mission was and who He Tianye was, and why the mission details were useless. and it was terrible. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that in order for him to receive such a mission, she must be nearby, and the artifact told the boss everything. Du Peng agrees with Xiao Yu, and in any case he needs system points and he will buy a lot of useful and interesting things and will already become stronger. At that time, the stranger also went into the toilet, and Dupin did not think long and accepted the mission and will complete everything 100%. And this is a fact. The stranger called a colleague and said she quickly got to the hospital, was waiting for instructions, and everything was under control, and she would be careful. The interlocutor told the stranger that they were acting according to her plan and that the lady was not afraid of difficult tasks and understood the colleague's instructions and did not argue with him. Dupin came out of the toilet, and he is curious to know in what sense he should win He Tianye, and his character makes itself known again. Dupin imagined He Tianye bringing him coffee, and she was wearing a beautiful apron and he always dreamed of having a beautiful maid in the house. But at that moment, a stranger stood before Dupin, and the master realized she was not an ordinary lady, and the artifact system promised to help find her. The artifact system informed Master Dupin, and this stranger, He Tianye, and Dupin, was glad and was finally able to find He Tianye, and he was lucky. Dupin froze in place, and He Tianye is so beautiful and she is like an angel from heaven. And the boss likes the system missions where there are beautiful ladies. Dupin doesn't believe her eyes. And He Tianye is a beauty. And she turned away from the master and doesn't know why the stranger is looking into her eyes, and he is an idiot. He Tianye is walking along the hospital corridor, and she won't let anyone ruin the plan and get rid of any villains, and she has enough strength. He Tianye turned around and noticed Dupin following her, and why the stranger continued to follow her. And maybe he was that special guy. And at that very moment, He Tianye suddenly turned left and disappeared into another part of the hospital corridor. And dangerous enemies had better not follow her. Dupin went after her, but he was in complete shock and wondered where He Tianye had disappeared to. And he had lost sight of her for a second. And the system found the unique individuals. He Tianye entered one of the doors unnoticed by Dupin. And she is not so stupid as to be caught by the enemy. And he is wrong to believe in success, and she will kill them. Dupin still can't figure out where He Tianye has gone and thinks he needs to use his special skill, Keen Eye, to find He Tianye quickly. Dupin pressed the keyboard button and activated the skill. And now he is an elusive and invulnerable fighter and is no longer afraid of any of his enemies. He Tianye silently jumped out of the room with a knife in her hand, and she wants to take Dupin's life, and her brother doesn't know what situation he's in. He Tianye wants to deliver a powerful knife strike from Dupin's back, and he doesn't notice her, and this is an opportunity to attack, and Tianye will send Dupin to heaven. But at that very moment, Lady Liao Yubi noticed Brother Dupin in the corridor and asked what he was doing there, and she didn't expect that Brother Du was in the hospital. He Tianye managed to hide back in the room from the enemies, and Liao Yubi asked Brother Dupin why he came to the hospital and was walking around there. Dupin saw He Tianye with his keen eyes and told Lady Liao Yubi that he was worried about his friends and that's why he decided to come to the hospital. Dupin asked Lady Liao Yubi how the guard Li Dongfeng was doing, and he remembers how she said that he was getting better and that it was so cool. Lady Liao Yubi told Brother Dupin that the guard Li Dongfeng had already woken up and whether he wanted to go to him, and the brother agreed with Lady Liao. Dupin realized that He Tianye had very sharp instincts and he had to be careful with her, otherwise she would hurt him and would not spare him. And that was a fact. He Tianye decided, and it seems he was too worried about Dupin being just a worthless pervert, and she underestimated her opponent. He Tianye went towards Dupin, and she will find out all the information and take his life if he starts to interfere with her plans, and she is not joking. Dupin and Lady Liao Yubi stood at the door to the guard Li Dongfeng's room, and he is dear to them, and they will visit him, and they will find out if everything is okay. Security guard Li Dongfeng is lying on the bed and is being treated for injuries, and he will never forget the fight with his opponent where he almost died and was on the verge of death. Security guard Li Dongfeng told Lady Liao Yubi that this was the same chef from the restaurant who eventually turned out to be a liar and infiltrated the party. Lady Liao Yubi told Li Dongfeng that this is her new guard Dupin, and he is reliable and able to protect her, and so asks Brother Li to rest. Guard Li Dongfeng is wary and asked Lady Liao Yubi how she trusts Dupin, and he entered the mansion without permission, and he remembers everything. Lady Liao Yubi told the guard, Li Dongfeng need not be nervous, and Brother Dupin has passed her father's check, and Mr. Liao Shang will confirm. Guard Li Dongfeng asked Lady Liao Yubi if she would allow him to be alone with Dupin to discuss something that was important to Lady Yu. Dupin was surprised and asked the guard Li Dongfeng if he really wanted to discuss something important with him, and what they could discuss. Lady Liao Yubi told guard Li Dongfeng that she would then leave him and Dupin alone and asked him to call her when they found a compromise. Dupin said good afternoon to his brother Li Dongfeng, and he is glad that he is recovering quickly and will soon gain strength and energy, and he believes in this. Guard Li Dongfeng is surprised by Du Peng's behavior and whether they can rely on him and whether he has enough strength to protect Lady Liao Yubi. Du Peng sits silently next to the guard, Li Dongfeng, and the atmosphere in the room is not kind but tense. And why is Li Dongfeng silent there? Guard Li Dongfeng told brother Du Peng that he was now Lady Liao Yubi's guard, and he had to tell him something and he would be on guard and everything. Du Peng agrees with Li Dongfeng and listens to his words with interest, and he is absolutely sure that brother Li has a lot of experience and he respects brother Li. Security guard Li Dongfeng has already collected information about the killer, and he is definitely from the Red Crow gang, and Du Peng must know important information. Du Peng is completely shocked by the information from security guard Li Dongfeng, but he doesn't know about the Red Crow gang. But the enemy gang is very influential. Security guard Li Dongfeng told Du that last year the gang offered Mr. Liao Shan to work with them, but he categorically refused. Du Peng said that the enemies want to take revenge by killing Liao Yubi, and Li Dongfeng asks to remember that the enemies are very dangerous and the killer was so strong. Du Peng told the guard Li Dongfeng that he understood him and wished him luck and that his brother would soon regain the necessary condition and return to protect Lady Liao. Du Peng told his guard Li Dongfeng that he would never allow anyone to harm Lady Liao Yubi, and that his friend was obliged to protect her from assassins everywhere. At this time, He Tianye entered Xiaoman's room and saw that the lady was fast asleep and everything was going according to plan, and no one would interfere with the taking of life. He Tianye is happy and has finally found Xiaoman, and it's not for nothing that she is given all the difficult tasks, and she is a professional, and no one can compare to her. Ran Wangyue came to the hospital, and she knows that Xiaoman is a strong lady and has never given up in difficult times and will get rid of the disease. Today, Ran Wangyue cooked Xiaoman's favorite dish, and they both will have lunch, and Xiaoman really loves soup and eggs, and she will give anything. Ran Wangyue was surprised, and it looks like someone came to visit Ran Wangyue. But there is a draft in the hospital, and why didn't the guest close the door, and this is stupid. But when Ran Wangyue did not expect this, when she entered Xiaoman's room, she saw a lady with a knife who wanted to take the life of Xiao's friend. Ran Wangyue asked the impudent fool who she was and why she had a knife, and there was no need to harm Xiaoman's health, and the lady was already in a difficult situation. Without thinking twice, Ran Wangyue threw an egg towards the killer, and her intuition told her to come to the hospital to Xiaoyubi early, and she would protect her sweetheart. He Tianye cut the egg, and she is obliged to finish the job and cannot leave while Xiaoman is alive, and she was given clear instructions and orders. Ran Wangyue threw soup at He Tianye, and the killer must dodge, and her soup is hot and she can get burned and seriously injured there. He Tianye abruptly stepped aside and defended herself from the soup. And Ran Wangyue is an annoying lady. And why does she take risks and protect Xiaoman everywhere? Ran Wangyue stood in front of He Tianye and covered Xiaoman and asked the killer who she was and what she wanted to do with Xiaoman. And her friend was sick. He Tianye asked Ran Wangyue who she was and what her connection was with Xiaoman and told her to answer her questions, otherwise she would definitely take action. Ran Wangyue is furious and said to He Tianye that she is Xiaoman's sister and she doesn't know why she is obliged to answer her questions and who she is. He Tianye told Ran Wangyue that she was hired by one person, and she has nothing against Xiaoman and is just doing the task, and this is her destiny. Ran Wangyue asked He Tianye if she really wanted to kill Xiaoman, and if her sister was kind, and if she had harmed anyone, and Ran Wan didn't know. He Tianye told Ran Wangyue, the less she knows, the better she sleeps. But her sister is serious, and she won't let He Tianye kill Xiaoman there. He Tianye quickly walked towards Xiaoman and she will not spare anyone, and in vain, Ran Wangyue believes that she has enough strength to stop her on the mission. He Tianye almost managed to deliver a powerful blow with a knife to Xiaoman, but something is stopping her and she doesn't know what's happening, and it's mysticism and magic. He Tianye turned around and noticed how Ran Wangyue began to glow, and she could not imagine that her sister had such enormous strength, and she was surprised. Ran Wangyue managed to grab He Tianye's hand and prevented her from stabbing Xiaoman, and she is ready to give her life for Xiaoman's sister. He Tianye is completely shocked, and could this really be an artifact? She has heard so many stories about the artifact and never thought she would see it in person in the hospital. At this time, Du Pen couldn't calm down thinking about the Raven Gang, and he realized that he seemed to be in serious trouble and there was no way back. Du Peng looked around in the corridor and did not understand where Lady Liao Yubi had gone, and she promised to wait for her brother while he was talking with Li Dongfeng. But Du Pen realized it was not important, and first he had to complete so many missions, otherwise he didn't know when he would die, if he didn't become stronger soon. Ran Wangyue continues to fight with He Tianye, and wants to find out who she is, and a stranger threatens her sister Xiaoman and she will not forgive the fool. He Tianye turned around and Ran Wangyue couldn't calm down and she was in trouble and didn't know that Xiao's friend was so strong and powerful and Ran Wang was cool. Ran Wangyue delivered a powerful blow to her opponent, but He Tianye barely managed to retreat to a safe distance. And Ran Wangyue was a monster. He Tianye thought it would be an easy mission, and she would deal with Xiaoman without any problems and didn't take into account that Xiaoman has her loyal friends. Ran Wangyue is serious and she will destroy He Tianye, and why she attacks the sweet Xiaoman, and she will teach the killer a lesson in an instant. He Tianye thought about it. Didn't they write in the report that Ran Wangyue was an ordinary lady, and it seemed like the information was wrong and people didn't take everything into account? And at that moment, Xiaoman woke up and asked her sister Ran Wangyue what was going on, and she heard screams and other sounds and let her explain. He Tianye noticed Ran Wangyue losing concentration because of her friend Xiaoman and quickly walked towards the patient, and this is her chance. He Tianye hides a knife behind her back and she will quickly send Xiaoman to heaven and she will not be hurt, and He Tianye is obliged to complete the task. But Xiaoman saw He Tianye and told her sister that she is so sweet and has kind eyes, and she has a gift, and she knows the character and plans of people. He Tianye quickly moved to the side and she couldn't kill Xiaoman, and everything didn't go according to plan, and Ran Wangyue was to blame for this and she interfered with her. He Tianye escaped from the hospital through the window, and Ran Wangyue will not catch her, and she does not want to answer the questions of Xiaoman's friends, and decided this. And at that very moment, Du Peng entered Xiaoman's room and asked Ran Wangyue how their sister was, and hoped she was feeling better, and her treatment was going according to plan. Ran Wangyue panicked and told her brother Du Peng that someone had just wanted to kill Xiaoman and asked him to protect her sister and that she would personally catch the killer. He Tianye continues to escape from the hospital grounds, and she knows that she has failed the mission and will be punished for everything, and she will come up with a plan. Du Peng glanced at the fleeing killer in frozen place and realized that this was He Tianye, and why the artifact system told him about that killer. Ran Wangyue was at a loss and asked brother Du Peng why he had suddenly grabbed her, and the killer was running away and they wouldn't be able to catch her, and would already have let her go. Du Peng told Ran Wangyue that he would help her catch the killer, and she would take care of Xiaoman's sister, and he would find out He Tian's plan. He Tianye disappeared into the alley, and she already remembered Xiaoman's phrase how she said, "Sister He looks cute, and Xiao looks like an angel." He Tianye is confused, and before she did not spare the victims, but the words of sweet Xiaoman touched her soul, and she does not know what is happening to her soul. He Tianye called her boss and said the mission had failed, and she was no longer able to eliminate Xiaoman, and there were problems with her friend at the hospital. Du Peng secretly follows He Tianye and realized that she is really a killer, and this mission of the artifact system will be difficult, and the master is unlucky. After these events, He Tianye came to the bar, and the lady told Sister He that the boss was waiting for her, and Tianye was ready to answer for her mistake in the task. And then, right after He Tianye, Du Peng came into the bar, and the waitress was glad to see the guest and said good evening, and asked Brother Du to come quickly. Du Peng sat down at the bar and asked Miss for a soda, and the master wanted to find out why He Tianye wanted to kill Xiaoman and who ordered it. The bartender said, Du Peng is a bar and they don't sell soda. And the gentleman was mistaken, and maybe he should go to a restaurant and find whatever he wants there. But at that very second, Du Peng put a lot of money on the table and asked her to give him a soda. And he knows that it is a bar, but he decided not to drink alcohol there. The bartender politely told Mr. Du Peng that she would bring his order without delay, and asked the guest to wait, and she would find magazines for the guest. Du Peng decided to go after He Tianye. And so, he will find out the truth and the reason why she wanted to kill Xiaoman. And this is the main goal of Master Du. But the guard blocked Du Peng's way with his hand, and told Mr. Du that he couldn't go there, and told him to go to the bar and have a drink instead. Du Peng asked the guard for forgiveness, and he was looking for the toilet, and the guard pointed his finger somewhere and said, "Mr. Toilet there," and helped their guest. Du Peng told the guard he understood him and thanked him, and his friend helped him find the toilet, and he would go and have drinks at his friend's request at their bar. Du Peng sat down at the bar and drank soda, and for that price he could drink whatever he wanted and no one would have any complaints about the guest. Du Peng decided that if he couldn't get into that room normally, he would have to enter on his own. It's not for nothing that there is a unique artifact system. Du Peng activated the Keen Eye skill and will save He Tianye and accurately guide her along the right path, and it seems she lacks the support of a friend. Du Peng began to see through walls, and he easily recognizes the plans and objectives of enemies, and Brother Du guarantees the protection of Ran Wangyue and Xiaoman. At this time, He Tianye is already standing in the boss's room, and what claims are made against her, and she admits that she did not complete the task and gave in to weakness then. The boss asked He Tianye what happened and how she failed with her skills and didn't think that anything could hinder the best killer. He Tianye told the boss that the owner of the artifact was standing next to Xiaoman, and that's why she couldn't remove the target, and it created a lot of problems for her. Du Peng is completely shocked by He Tianye's words and whether Ran Wangyue really has an artifact and why she didn't tell him and kept the secret from everyone. The boss is surprised and asked He Tianye how the killer He found the person with the artifact and what rank the artifact is, and the boss is interested to know everything. He Tianye isn't sure, but it seems like the artifact is of low quality, and the information she was given about the mission was wrong, and she was definitely facing failure. The boss grabbed the documents and told He Tianye that this was clearly different from the report and what the client had in mind, and how dare they give false information. According to the report, this Xiao Man is the illegitimate daughter of the company director Zhong Lin, and her mother died a year ago, and no one knows these secrets. The boss was perplexed and asked He Tianye why the owner of the artifact was walking next to Xiao Man, and he was already confused about this situation. He Tianye doesn't know, and she won't take on this task anymore, and she asked the boss to find someone else for the task and won't change her mind. And these are the facts. He Tianye and the boss left the office, and Du Peng sits there and continues to drink soda unnoticed, and he will solve this mystery soon. He Tianye sat down and drank strong drinks, and she will not forget Xiao Man, and her look forced her to change her mind, and Xiao's face is kind and sweet. Du Peng asked Xiao Yu's assistant what He Tianye and her boss meant when they talked about artifact ranks, and he was interested in knowing this data. Xiao Yu's assistant asked Master Du Peng if she hadn't told him about the artifact ranks, or if the boss hadn't asked himself and Yu had nothing to do with it. Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant that she didn't say anything about the artifact ranks and why he got a stupid assistant, and she pisses him off. Xiao Yu's assistant wants to taste Master Du Peng's soda, and he always drinks it. And what's special about it? And Xiao Yu will find out the reason. And at that very moment, Xiao Yu's assistant began to glow with happiness, and she really liked the taste of the drink. And it's not for nothing that Master Du Peng drinks it everywhere. But suddenly Du Peng took the drink from Xiao Yu's assistant and asks her to first explain to him what the ranks of artifacts are, and this intrigues him. Xiao Yu's assistant said there are many artifacts in this world. The power and rarity of each determines its rank. And Du Peng asked about ranks. Xiao Yu said there are only 7 ranks, and the weakest is red, and the expensive is purple, and the whole difference between them is great in terms of strength. Xiao Yu told boss Du Peng that purple rank artifacts are extremely rare, and there are no more than 5 of them in the entire world, and that's all the data. Du Peng understood and asked Xiao Yu what rank his keyboard had, and the boss wanted to find out how rare the artifact was that he managed to find then. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that his special keyboard artifact was purple ranked, and he was luckier than millions of others. Du Peng is completely shocked by the words of Xiao Yu's assistant, and whether the master really found such a rare artifact, and the keyboard must be protected from everyone. Assistant Xiao told Master Du Peng that only blue and purple artifacts could have cute spirits like her, and asked Du to treasure her. Du Peng is despondent and asked his assistant if she is cute, and Xiao Yu is angry with Master Peng and asked if the boss has a different opinion about Yu. But Du Peng told Xiao Yu's assistant that he didn't say anything and asked her to drink the drink, and she deserved it. And thank you for the valuable information. Xiao Yu's assistant is delighted, and she really liked the taste of her master's drink, and she wants to drink such drinks all day long, and the taste is fantastic. Du Peng didn't expect that his keyboard was a purple artifact, and he had to be careful so that no one would find out about it, and that's so important. Assistant Xiao Yu told Master Du Peng that he had opened 2 buttons and he needed to continue opening all the buttons and understand the power of the artifact. Du Peng is serious and told Xiao Yu's assistant that they will not retreat and that they need to complete more missions, and he will open all the buttons. Du Peng turned around and remembered He Tianye and was distracted by the system and forgot about the mission, and he is obliged to help the killer. He Tianye, and this is important. He Tianye drinks nonstop, and Du Peng realized this is a good chance and he will not miss it and give the right instructions to his sister and teach her wisdom. Du Peng sat down next to He Tianye and asked the beauty if he could buy her a drink and why she was sitting alone at the bar, and they would fix it right away. He Tianye asked Du Peng who he was and why he decided to approach her, and she was not in the mood and she wanted to sit alone and not be disturbed there. Du Peng told He Tianye that they saw each other twice a day, and wasn't it fate? And would she allow him to treat her to a drink, and was always happy. And at that moment, 3 people entered the bar, and one of them told the boss that they had come to the right address and they were not mistaken. And the boss pointed out the right place. The guy's boss asked his friends if they remembered what to do when they came to bars, and they were obliged to find beautiful women, and this was the goal of the 3. A friend asks the boss to take a look, and they noticed He Tianye. And the boss is delighted, and she is an incredible lady. And how did her friends notice her? The boy's boss fell in love with He Tianye and told his friends that this was his run, and they knew the boss's character 100% and never let him down. He Tianye saw 3 losers approaching her and saw why she was being punished like this, and she just wanted to sit alone and think about all the events. He Tianye told Du Peng that he persuaded her and she wants a Mai Tai cocktail, and she will allow her friend to treat her, and they will discuss various aspects. Du Peng has no problem ordering a Mai Tai cocktail from the lovely lady He Tianye and calls the waiter to find out the reason for He Tian's worries. The waitress approached Du Peng and He Tianye and asked Mr. how she could help and if they were ready to order, and she was happy to see both of them. Du Peng told the waitress that he and He Tianye were ready to order a cocktail and asked for one of the cocktails, and the boss began to remember the name. Du Peng smiles at the waitress and can't remember what cocktail He Tianye wanted to drink, and he's getting old and already forgetting information. Du Peng felt awkward, but he asked He Tianye if she could repeat what cocktail she wanted to drink, and he had memory problems today. He Tianye told Du Peng she ordered a Mai Tai cocktail and asked Du not to be nervous, and it happens to everyone and anyone can forget the name. Du Peng kindly asked the waitress to give them one Mai Tai cocktail and thanks her for her patience, and he forgot the name, but his friend reminded him. But at that very second, someone started laughing because of Du Peng's order, and he didn't understand what kind of impudent person came to the bar, and in vain he was laughing at him, and he was a corpse. The boy's boss asks Du Peng not to try to impress a lady when he doesn't even know anything about wine and the kids are supposed to stay at home and not at the bar. The friends laugh and are amused by the boss's words, and he harshly humiliated the bastard. And now the idiot will not meet women until the three of them leave. Du Peng doesn't know the three clowns or where they came from, and they're interfering with the artifact system's mission, and he won't forgive these losers. The impudent guy walked up to He Tianye's table and told his sweet friend that he would treat her and asked her to drink with him, and that he was the perfect person. But when the impudent man did not expect this, He Tianye refused him, and she was not interested in him, and let them go to other ladies and treat them at the bar. The boy's boss is perplexed, and why He Tianye refused him, because he is a handsome man and is used to achieving his goals, and she brazenly humiliated him. The boy's boss pointed his finger at Du Peng and asked He Tianye if she chose this guy, and where was the logic in her answer and how he was better than him. The boy's boss told He Tianye that Du Peng no longer understood anything about wine, and that she would be bored with him, but he would create a cozy atmosphere for his sister. He Tianye is tired of the clown's antics and told the idiot boss to get out of there quickly, and she doesn't want to communicate with him and told him not to bother her. The guy's boss doesn't believe the USVM and seems to be hallucinating, and asked He Tianye what she said, and she's not afraid to be rude to other people. Du Peng grabbed the boy's boss by the face, and he wanted to mock the three idiots so much, but their leader infuriates him, and Master Peng will punish the idiot. And at that very second, Du Peng stuck the boss's face on the table, and he doesn't have to tolerate the arrogant behavior of a stupid person, and he will learn a lesson. Du Peng told the idiot boss that his girlfriend He Tianye told the three of them to get out of there, but they were arguing, and the three of them left him no choice there. The boy's boss came to his senses and realized what had happened, and Du Peng was very fast and caught his opponent off guard, and the boy's boss was clearly wrong. He Tianye is curious about why Du Peng is so strong, and maybe he has an artifact, and she will find out all the information about her new friend soon. The impudent man's friends approached Du Peng and told him to let their boss go, and he would regret it if the boss got hurt, and they didn't leave him alive in the bar. But Du Peng is serious and told the three clowns to get out of the bar, and he doesn't want to waste time on them. And he has a lot of important things to do. The boy's boss told the scoundrel Du Peng that he would not regret humiliating the boss, and that he should wait, and in the future, he would remember them and guarantee. Three friends left the bar, and Du Peng is a powerful fighter, and they won't be able to defeat him in a fight even with three of them. And it's better for them to leave than to lie in the hospital. Du Peng told He Tianye the problem was solved, and they could continue drinking without anyone bothering them or a friend making them suffer pain. He Tianye told her friend Du Peng that of course they would continue drinking, and that she liked to drink with strong fighters who would never offend a lady. Du Peng told He Tianye that they have common interests and he enjoys drinking with beautiful women, and that his girlfriend gives off positive energy. The waitress brought Mr. Dupont a cocktail, and he is obliged to evaluate their cocktails for taste and hopes he will be satisfied after the evening. He Tian told Du Peng just so he knew the beaten guy's name was Jin Cheng, and he was from a rich family, and Du's friend would already be in trouble. Du Peng was excited and said to He Tianye that she knew the impudent Jin Cheng, and the lady told Du's friend that she had heard many stories about Jin. But Du Peng is not nervous and told He Tianye that everything is fine, and he is not afraid of Jin Cheng's anger and revenge, and on the contrary wants the loser to take revenge. He Tianye is very curious about her friend's name, and he is sitting there with her, and they are both drinking, but she still doesn't know his name, and this needs to be corrected. The guy told He Tianye his name is Du Peng, and he is happy to sit there with a nice and kind lady, and he immediately felt her aura in the bar, and He is not lying. He Tianye told her friend she will remember his name and thank you for the cocktail, and it is an honor for Du Peng to treat a beautiful lady to a cocktail, and she is nice. He Tianye likes the character of Du Peng's friend, and it seems like he has a pure soul, and he doesn't lie when he compliments her, and she recognizes the motive. And when Du Peng did not expect this, He Tianye came close to her friend, and she was lucky that Du Peng himself came to her, and a special type. Hey Tianya whispered into Du Ping's ear and gently asked if her friend wanted to come over tonight and keep her company. And she seriously? Du Ping can hardly control himself, and how can he refuse an incredibly beautiful lady like He Tianye? And he is trapped and does not know what to answer. Du Ping was delighted and told He Tianye that he really wanted to go to her house and they could discuss many important matters in the city's development strategy. Du Peng and He Tianye left the bar, and the lady asked her friend where they were going, and her friend knew how to intrigue the ladies and what else Peng was capable of. He Tianye asks her friend Du Peng to follow her, and she will lead him, and Peng should not worry, and guarantees that they will have fun and they will play. He Tianye brought Master Du Peng to the hotel and wants to surprise him, and he is worthy of a special game, and Du Peng is excited and likes the situation. Du Peng imagined the image of He Tianye and how she asked him to be more gentle in the game, and she has never seen such a strong man as him. Du Peng and He Tianye entered the hotel room, and Du Peng had never been so lucky in his life, and maybe today was his chance, and the lady fell in love with his friend. He Tianye told her friend Du Peng that she was going to take a shower, and her friend agreed, but he still doesn't believe it's real and maybe he's hallucinating. He Tianye asks her friend Du Peng not to peek, and she will come to him soon and hopes he won't be bored, and will wait for his friend for a couple of minutes. Du Peng agrees with He Tianye and sat down on the chair, and he has no choice, and he must wait until his girlfriend takes a shower, and this is important for the game. He Tianye went into the bathroom, and Du Peng thought about whether she was a killer, and he didn't know if he could trust her, and she was capable of killing anyone. Du Peng doesn't care, and he has an artifact, and He Tianye won't be able to defeat him, and he will be on guard, and won't allow the killer to injure him, and Peng has experience. Du Peng activated the keen eye skill, and he promised He Tianye that he would not look and enter the bathroom, but it is so difficult to keep his word. Du Peng smiled and decided to take a peek at his friend, and He Tianye wouldn't mind and wouldn't know that his friend was following her there. Du Peng doesn't want to wait and activated the keen eye skill again, and he learns a lot of information by looking at his friend, and he can't trust the killer. Du Peng looks at He Tianye, and she is standing in the bathroom, and Du Peng finds out about her plans, and she wanted to kill Xiaoman, and that's why he didn't forgive her. Du Peng saw He Tianye standing in the bathroom with a phone in her hand, and Du Peng was surprised and did not understand what He Tianye was doing in the bathroom, and it was strange. Du Peng decided that he hadn't activated the keen eye skill in vain, and that something was wrong with He Tianye, and he would figure out her motives, and she wouldn't set him up there. He Tianye wrote a message to the boss, and perhaps she found the owner of the artifact again today. And these days, she is especially lucky, and this is true. He Tianye understood and needed to check Du Peng and what artifact her friend had, and she wouldn't miss the chance, and Du Peng would trust her and answer her questions. He Tianye started to take off her clothes, and everything is going according to plan. And Du Peng will not get out of the hotel, and he is doomed. And you can't trust an unfamiliar lady. Du Peng is shocked, and thanks to fate for bringing him together with He Tianye. And he learned many important things, and his friend opened the chakras in his friend's body. Du Peng can't take his eyes off He Tianye, and her figure is gorgeous, and he didn't find a single flaw. And He Tianye is an incredibly beautiful lady. A few minutes later, He Tianye came out of the bathroom, and she is a professional and never loses control and concentration at critical moments. Du Peng is sweating heavily and is nervous, and in such a situation it is very important not to be afraid, and Du Peng's character will not allow him to embarrass himself with He Tianye. He Tianye gently hugged Du Peng's friend and asked if he missed her while she was gone in the bathroom for a couple of minutes, and she wouldn't leave him alone. He Tianye lay on the bed, and she skillfully manipulates people. But Du Peng is a simple and modest person, and her friend does not mind her special games. Du Peng is excited, and he can't stand and wait any longer, and he has to be a man. And he loves special games, and he is never against games. He Tianye asks his friend Du Peng not to rush. And first they need to put on the handcuffs, and they will start the game, and they have a lot of time, and they will have fun. Du Peng felt so excited and wondered if he should tell He Tianye that it was his first time playing a special game, but he would feel awkward. Du Peng 100% agrees with He Tianye, and this is a great idea, and he will help her put on the handcuffs, but Tianye said this not to her, but to him. Du Peng was surprised, and why He Tianye wanted to close his eyes in the game and tie his hands with handcuffs, and his girlfriend had strange interest in the game. He Tianye covered Du Peng's hands with handcuffs and her eyes too, and Du Peng was perplexed and asked He Tianye if he should take off his clothes. The boss entered the hotel room, and He Tianye is a pro, and she completed the mission 100%, and He finds people with the artifact every day. He Tianye sighed and told the boss that she wouldn't do that anymore, and that frivolous missions were ruining her reputation and wasting a lot of energy. The boss threw He Tianye a wad of money, and this is her reward, and he never doubted her skills, and Tianye is an experienced killer and amazed the boss. He Tianye took the wad of money and told the boss that although she shouldn't complain about anything, it was her job, and she had to complete the tasks. The boss stroked He Tianye's face, and with her appearance and body, few can resist her beauty, and Tianye is an incredibly beautiful lady. But at that very moment, He Tianye slapped the boss's hand and told him to take his hands away, and she had done her job, and the rest was up to him. Dupan's eyes are closed and he doesn't understand what's happening in the room. But he feels in his gut that something is wrong and he's in danger. And it's a shock. The boss told He Tianye to watch her language, and he is still her boss, and will clearly not tolerate such treatment and will take drastic measures. He Tianye agrees with the boss, and she leaves the hotel, and she has business and is free from missions for today, and she gave the boss the owner of the artifacts. He Tianye put on her hood and told the boss that he would decide what to do with Du Peng, and she would not interfere, and wished the boss good luck in torturing his friend. The boss asks He Tianye to wait, and sooner or later he will make her his slave and forbid her to argue with the boss and will humiliate her everywhere. The boss glanced at Du Peng, and it was strange. And Peng didn't look like the owner of the artifact. And maybe He Tianye deceived him, and he doesn't trust his intuition. Du Peng started calling Xiao Yu's assistant and begging her to save him, and he did not understand how he ended up in a critical situation, and Du was in danger. Assistant Xiao Yu asks, Master Du Peng not to worry, and the enemy will not be able to find her, and she will not abandon the master in trouble, and he is very dear to her. Xiao Yu's assistant said the purple artifacts are stronger than Du Peng thinks, and if she doesn't want to be found, she won't be found. Du Peng is so happy, and now he understands the words of Xiao Yu's assistant, and his purple artifact hides a lot of valuable information about the power. But Du Peng realized and told Xiao Yu's assistant to wait, and what would happen if the enemy wanted to kill him, and she did not tell her master how to escape. Xiao Yu's assistant told Master Du Peng that he can easily activate the muscle skill and punish the opponent. And this is clearly an idea. Du Peng is delighted, and Xiao Yu's assistant is a genius. But he wants to know who this uncle is who stands in front of him and what the evil stranger's up to. The boss approached Du Peng and wants to discuss something with him and get answers to his questions, and this man confused him and does not seem like a special person. Du Peng asked the stranger who he was and why he was afraid to fight him one-on-one, and that he did not respect vile people like him and would soon take revenge. The boss told Du Peng to give him his artifact, and then he would let him live. And if he did not give the artifact, the boss would punish him and send him to the next world. Du Peng asked the boss if he was crazy or an actor, and they were filming a show together and he was the main star. Otherwise, he couldn't explain it all. The boss thought maybe Du Peng was an idiot, and asked the impudent guy if he had decided to die and was acting like a fool with the boss, and he wouldn't forgive the bastard for it. And at that very moment, the boss took off the blindfold from Du Peng's eyes and wants him to understand who he is talking to and to start respecting the dangerous enemy and fearing him. The boss put a knife to Du Peng's neck and ordered him to quickly hand over the artifact. Otherwise, he would meet his great-grandfather, or he wanted to test the enemy's patience. Du Peng asked the enemy why he should give him the artifact, and he imagined many things about himself and whether he saw himself in the mirror, and the enemy is ugly. The boss doesn't intend to tolerate Du Peng's vile words and will kill him. And the idiot doesn't want to find a compromise and give up the artifact. Then the enemy will take it by force. And at that moment, the boss waved his knife and sent Du Peng to the next world and received for his daring antics and received an artifact, and he is confident in himself. Du Peng started to glow and he activated the artifact skill, and in vain the bastard decided to grab him. And he will teach the enemy manners and decide the fate of the enemy. Du Peng broke the handcuffs on his hands with one movement, and he is not afraid of anything. And did He Tianye really want to lure him into a trap in the hotel? Du Peng managed to dodge the enemy's knife strike and was not injured. His reflexes and reaction are on another level, and no one can stop Peng. The enemy told Du Peng that it seemed like he really had an artifact, and he instantly received the power from the artifact, and he knew that He Tianye was not mistaken there. Du Peng asked the enemy, "So what if he has an artifact, and it is none of his business and why the enemy is latching onto him and is interested in his thing?" The enemy is serious and said to Du Peng that since he has an artifact, he will take it, and the idiot is unlucky, and where did he find a special artifact? Du Peng wants to know if the enemy can take the artifact, and the opponent is not weak. And it is not for nothing that other people were unable to take the artifact from Du Peng. But at that very moment, the enemy noticed that Du Peng had lost his concentration and sharply struck him with a knife. And in a fight with an enemy, you have to be on your guard. The enemy froze in place from shock, and there was no Du Peng in front of him. And where did he go, and how did he manage to move to a safe distance from the blow? And this is mysticism. But at that moment, Du Peng appeared next to the enemy, and the boss realized Du Peng was so fast and he changed direction in a second. The boss put up a block and defends himself from Du Peng's attack, while the master goes at the enemy and continues to threaten and insist that he will make the bastard suffer. The fists of Du Peng and the enemy clashed, and they will find out who is more powerful and stronger, and Du Peng trained and improved his skills for such fights. The enemy turned out to be weaker than Du Peng and flew back a couple of meters and fell to the floor. And he realized that he shouldn't fight Du Peng with his fists, and the bastard is dangerous. The enemy said Dupan is not an ordinary person, and he has enormous talent and potential, and he is able to develop new skills, and this is fantastic. Dupan grinned and asked the enemy what happened, and didn't he say that he wanted to kill him? But at the end of the fight, the enemy was sitting on the floor without strength. But the enemy is treacherous, and will not surrender to Dupan in battle. And when Dupan was not expecting this, the enemy suddenly threw a sharp knife towards Pen. Dupan was surprised because the enemy missed by a couple of meters, and it seems he miscalculated the trajectory of the throw. Or the enemy has a different plan and is cunning. The enemy broke the window and left the hotel room, and he needs to save his life and he is in a dangerous situation. But Dupan has a lot of strength and energy, and the boss will return. Dupan wanted to chase the enemy, but the enemy hid in the crowd of people and Pen doesn't know how to find him and needs to calm his nerves, and this is so important. Dupan realized that he had a hard time getting out of this situation, and that He Tianye was very difficult to deal with, and that she was a treacherous lady and Tian was a manipulator. At this time, the boss returned to the bar and he received serious injuries there when he thoughtlessly went to fight directly with Dupan, making a mistake. He Tianye asked the boss what happened, and he doesn't look well, and it seems Dupeng had some surprises for the enemy, and he managed to surprise them. The boss said He Tianye has a very powerful artifact, Dupeng, and the boss was unable to give an equal fight to the opponent in battle, and the enemy's skills were astonishing. He Tianye asked the boss what level of artifact Dupeng had, and she was very interested to know this and whether the boss had found out any important information. The boss can't say for sure He Tianye, but the enemy's artifact level is definitely not red, and his attacks were powerful and he felt all the power. He Tianye told the boss that the level of Dupeng's special artifact is higher than red, and it seems he has been hiding the strength and power of the system all this time. The boss is furious and told He Tianye that she must help catch the enemy and he will get the artifact at any cost, and he is confident in the killer. He Tianye was surprised and asked the boss why she should help them with the task again, and last time she said that she didn't want missions. The boss told He Tianye that once they deal with Dupeng, he would immediately inform the organization and give all the credit to her and guarantee her success. He Tianye sighed and told the boss that she agreed to help then, but she would refuse next time, and that she was tired of the tasks and already wanted to rest. The boss thought that as soon as the fool He Tianye joined the team, he would not let her leave and would punish her for her boorish behavior by making her a slave. Dupeng went outside and noticed Ran Wangyue. And why did she follow him? And he asked her to stay with Xiaoman and protect her from the killer. Ran Wangyue asked Dupeng if he caught the killer and who she was, and she was very interested to know the identity of the vile killer, and she will not forgive this lady. Dupeng told Ran Wangyue that he found the killer, but it was pointless, and he didn't learn anything important, and the killer disappeared and he didn't find her there. Ran Wangyue was very nervous and asked Dupeng who the killer was and why she wanted to kill Xiaoman, and her sister clearly did not harm anyone. Dupeng said Ran Wangyue is probably a killer, a member of an assassination organization, but he knows all the information about Xiaoman's past, and that's cool. Ran Wangyue is at a loss. And is there any interesting facts about Xiaoman's past? And she has never asked her sister about her past and is intrigued. But suddenly, when Dupan did not expect it, the artifact system informed Master Dupan that the B difficulty mission had begun now. Dupan wondered if the artifact system had given him another task, and he wasn't in the mood to complete another task, and the system didn't spare him. Mission title. Background. Xiaoman and Dupeng are obliged to help Xiaoman unravel the mystery of her life, and he is able to help Xiaoman's sister. Dupan doesn't know why he received another task, and the master hasn't finished the previous missions yet, and the artifact system always loads him. Dupeng looked at the artifact system for the tasks in progress, and the boss has 3 missions: the history of Jidan, and conquering He Tianye and Xiao's past. Dupan hasn't decided which mission to take on first, and Pan will do everything as the opportunity arises, and he doesn't want to let his other friends down. Ran Wangyue asked Dupeng if something happened, and her brother thought about something. But Dupeng told his sister Ran everything was fine, and he did not think about it. Ran Wangyue asks brother Dupeng to explain about Xiaoman's past. And Dupeng said he heard some information about the past from the enemy. Dupeng said that the killer told that Xiaoman could be the daughter of some rich man. But she is illegitimate, and that is why everyone is hiding the information. Ran Wangyue asked brother Dupeng what kind of nonsense this is, and it's unreal. And she knows stories about Xiaoman and she's not a rich man's daughter. Or is she delirious? Dupeng told Ran Wangyue that he heard with his own ears how the 2 enemies discussed Xiaoman's past and how Ran Wang met her sister. When Ran Wangyue first met her, Xiaoman was already living in the slum area, and she was taking care of orphans, and Ran didn't ask about her past. Dupeng understood everything and told Ran Wangyue that he would go himself and find out more information about Xiaoman's past, and they would not let anyone harm Xiao. Ran Wang Yue is worried and wants to tell something to brother Du Ping, and he is not obliged to help her with Xiao Man, but does not abandon them in difficult moments. And at that moment, suddenly, Ran Wang Yue hugged her brother Du Peng, and she will not forget his good deeds and thank him for everything, and he is a good brother.